Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin is a wonderful place to spend a summer week. Resorts, golf, water sports, and restaurants, all in a quaint village where race cars used to roar through the streets. The racing's now done nearby at Road America, the fast and challenging 4-mile course that today hosts the NASCAR Nationwide Series for 200 grueling miles. The fans have been coming in all morning, lining this beautiful course on a Saturday afternoon. They're ready to see a very diverse field of racing talent in what promises to be an action-packed event. There's the setting at the front of the grid for NASCAR Countdown from Road America. Or at least that was our plan. We were going to go al fresco today and talk outside, and then a big blob of rain showed up on the radar and was moving right toward the racetrack, and it just broke up and disappeared. So we'll take credit, thank you, for the track being dry by our decision to move inside with Countdown, and the race to be ready to start in dry conditions on time here in beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Hi, welcome to NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestwick with 6-time NASCAR road course winning driver Rusty Wallace and road course winning crew chief Andy Petrie. It's just the third year that the NASCAR Nationwide Series has visited Road America, but it's quickly become a very popular event.
Alan, no doubt about it. This is my favorite place to go for a nationwide race. It's beautiful up here. It's a lot of fun. Heck, Andy and I even golfed the other day. We had a good time up here. Rich history. A lot of great drivers that have run here. The Andretti's, A.J. Foyt, Pernelli Jones, Mark Donahue. I could go on and on. This is by far one of the coolest locations and coolest tracks I've ever been to in my life.
It is. I love coming up here, but this kind of racing is very challenging. It's very demanding on the drivers, and it's very demanding on the cars. It's very rough on brakes and engines and, well, everything else, feelings, you just name it. It is very hard, very difficult style racing, and it's going to present a tremendous challenge to the teams.
So Road America is fun. Road America is very difficult. Road America is crazy. Look at the end of last year's race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series here. First and only event to go to 3 green-white checker finishes. This is the first of the green-white checkers. Watch the white and black 22 of Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh, Jacques Villeneuve gets into turn 1, sprints out Scott, gets Max Pappas in the wall over there. Everybody's mad. The whole place is going nuts, and the race is still going on.
Second green-white checker restart. Michael McDowell in the 18s led almost the whole race.
Yeah, everybody gets all amped up for the end of the race. Michael McDowell had such a good race going, but just overdid it a little bit in that corner and lost the lead.
Third green-white checker finish. Justin Allgaier in the blue and white 31 is leading. Behind him on the racetrack, trouble in turn 5, Eric Almirola ends up stuck in the gravel trap. NASCAR has to throw the caution. Allgaier just has to come back around to the checkered flag.
It looked like he had it won. Not enough fuel. He couldn't even make it back under caution, so he loses the race when it runs out of fuel.
Before the caution comes out, watch the yellow car of Reed Sorensen, right? Yellow flag waving. Ron Fellows in the blue car goes past him. Ron is actually the first one to get to the checkered flag. But NASCAR reviews the finish, correctly rules that it was Reed Sorensen who scored the win. His team getting the word there. And Sorensen took what was a crazy victory here 1 year ago. And really a very interesting field lined up for today's race. Take a look at the diversity of backgrounds of the group today. The world-class road racers from Formula One, IndyCar, sports car, and endurance racing. The series regulars who compete for the championship every week. And the guys we'll call Rovals, whose backgrounds are in road racing, but race now primarily in oval track series. I speak of McDowell, Paluto, and PK Jr. Now, 2 of those 3 drivers are starting on the front row. We talk to them now, beginning with Jamie Little.
And this is the first Nationwide Series pole for Nelson Piquet Jr. And Nelson, since your background is primarily road courses and Formula One, etc., do you feel like this is your best opportunity to get your first win in NASCAR?
Well, for sure. I mean, obviously we have been trying to get that first win in the trucks a few times. We have been close, but for sure, being a road course and being with the team I've been working with the whole year, I'm sure it's going to be a great opportunity. You know, we did the pole. I feel really comfortable. We had a good margin in qualifying. And there's all the good reasons to win the race this afternoon.
This morning you talked to me about the mirrors. You were having a problem seeing. How much of a challenge is it to see out of these cars on a road course?
Well, it's quite challenging. I mean, obviously every driver has about 4 spotters on the track, so we're going to have to work together very well for us to avoid any kind of contacts. But I mean, my plan is to turn the first quarter in the first place and try to open a lead and not worry about cars around and these kind of things. You know, it's always a bit of a distraction if there's cars behind you, in front of you, trying to overtake somebody and somebody behind you. So I think the perfect scenario would be, you know, get a good start and just control the race, and you don't need to worry about these things.
tonight. Nelson Piquet Jr. hopes to take Turner Motorsports to their second straight victory at Road America. Dave?
Last year, Michael McDowell had speed and he had fuel. He did not win the race. 12 months have passed. What has changed with you or this team that makes you a more likely victor today, Michael?
You know, really nothing. The last year was just circumstantial, you know, a couple green-white checkers, and we just got it a little bit wrong. But we had a fast Pizza Ranch Toyota. We have a fast Pizza Ranch Toyota again today. And, you know, I'm excited to be in the Nationwide Insurance Series again. I only get 5 shots at this, but it's a lot of fun. And, you know, just thankful to everybody at Pizza Ranch and Coca-Cola and Toyota. Obviously, to get to drive the 18 car is awesome. So very thankful.
You said it was fast. Did you leave anything on the table in qualifying? Because you almost got the pole again.
I don't know if I left anything on the table. Made a slight mistake pushing hard. You know, it's just we're trying to save fuel, so we only did 1 lap. You got to get it just right, and maybe just messed up just a slight bit. But don't know if we had a shot at PK. But it's a long race. We led a lot of it last year, but you know, the only thing that matters is that last lap. So that's what we're trying to get to.
Today is Michael's 80th career start. He has perhaps his best shot at a win in the Nationwide Series.
All right, David, thank you. Now, there's a lot of road course racing talent in this field. But history tells us that in these NASCAR Nationwide Series road course events, it's usually the series regulars that score the win. What do you see coming today?
Well, one of the things that keeps these road course specialists out of victory lane is really probably the inexperience that they have with the teams and the way the race flows and the chemistry that these other nationwide teams have built over the season. They do have great skills. They know how to make the car go fast. They know how to get the most out of the brakes and everything else, but that's probably the one thing that keeps them out of victory lane is that lack of experience and chemistry.
They definitely got some lack of experience. There's no doubt about that, about the car. But at this particular track, I mean, you look at Watkins Glen. We talk about those guys have been there 18 times. They've been out of Montreal several times. The road race ringers, I think, are going to do really good here today, Alan, because we've only been here twice. They understand these courses. They know how to get under real fast. I think they can get around this course quicker than the nationwide regulars. I really do. Now, look, here's what can hurt them. Andy alluded to this a little while ago. They do not understand the cars. If the car's not handling right, they really don't know the right way to go to tell the crew chief how to fix it. Look, these cats can drive it, no doubt about that. But can they fix it if it's not right on the track? Don't think they can. That might be the thing right there that hurts them.
Fascinating field for what we expect to be a fascinating race today here at Road America. Still to come, as part of ESPN's celebration of Title IX and its impact on women in sports, we look at women in NASCAR, where it's come from and where it's going. Plus, how this difficult Road America course today may factor into the very close and complicated NASCAR Nationwide Series championship picture. All that to come on NASCAR Countdown from Road America. Live from Road America in Wisconsin, where NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers like Danica Patrick are being introduced and driven around this 4-mile racetrack for a wave to the fans. Today is the 40th anniversary of Title IX, signed into law June 23, 1972, mandating that for any education program receiving federal assistance, equal opportunity must be provided for those of both genders, a law that changed the landscape of college sports and influenced change in all of sports. While Title IX has no direct bearing on NASCAR, it does give us an opportunity to look at the issue of women in racing, past, present, and future.
NASCAR combines competition with culture. It is a reflection of equal opportunities for anyone who desires to be the fastest across the finish line. In terms of gender equality, the 6-decade history of NASCAR has run ahead of the curve.
If you go back to the early years of NASCAR, Bill France Sr. understood the value of having women to promote in the sport. People wanted to come see a woman drive against the men.
NASCAR's modern era coincided with the women's liberation movement and Title IX. In 1970s America, that societal change reached the stock car circuit, with Janet Guthrie becoming a champion for the cause.
I was a beneficiary of the women's movement. Eventually, I came to feel it as something of a responsibility.
As NASCAR rose in national prominence in the 1980s, women showed just as much interest in the sport as men. With their roles expanded, women made their impact felt.
There's Shauna Robinson making history today, the first woman ever to start on the pole.
Brian France was
you know, in the marketing area and Lisa Kennedy was very involved. They were very much made me feel welcome and made me feel like it was a good growth for the sport.
Well, in the early 80s, I started full-time with NASCAR, and it was a different picture. So much has changed since then. Most people are really surprised when they learn that 40% of our fans are women.
More female fans in the stands were encouraged by NASCAR's increased initiatives to involve women in all areas of racing.
I was very, very hesitant at first. Coming into a man's sport where that's all I knew of it was being a man's sport.
Anybody coming in as an official really has to gain the respect. You know, we're working with people that are the best of the best. When I'm over working on the car, people taking pictures and stuff, like it's odd to see a girl working on a car.
Oh my gosh, how did you get that job? I want your job. How do you become an official? Oh, I watch you every week, and it's so nice to see that you're out there and you're doing your thing and loving it.
I'm just one of the guys, you know, in a good sense of the word. I am just one of the guys. They know that I am part of the team, that I help them, and I just get treated as one of them. People get to know you, and they respect and they value what you're doing in the sport, you know, and you know, you make it.
There's jobs for women in the sport. A lot of it is in things like public relations and sponsorship sales, in the media center.
When it comes to the executive end and as far as team ownership, I think Kelly Earnhardt is the one who is setting the bar there. Kelly is so intelligent. She has her father's business mind.
I've never been shy about my interaction in the sport with males or females. I always learn from my dad just to go into a room with confidence. The relationship that GoDaddy has with Kelly Earnhardt is a real positive, and she's a very straightforward lady. She gets things done. And she made the ability to come over easy.
She's going for the race lead.
New leader, Danica Patrick.
The star power of Danica Patrick shows the ongoing revolution women are staging in sports. From the NASCAR platform, she and others are proving themselves while debunking stereotypes.
And there is the new leader in qualifying, Danica Patrick.
I'm going to be one of those NASCAR drivers right now. The boys back at the shop did a good job.
When my husband criticized my driving, I'm like, really? Really? You can't get any better than me as a wife. She's already successful on that standpoint that she's being out there and she's competitive and she's had a lot of great runs.
Good job, guys. You got me up front. I'm going to do what I can to stay here.
There's little girls all over the world who the only thing they know about NASCAR is Danica.
I definitely do imagine myself doing that someday when I see her. She really can do what all the guys do.
It's going to be most visible once again is on the field, and that's what people want to see. They want to see competitive women in racing, and I think there are more and more opportunities available now than ever.
Still, the job is not completely done. We all have to be more inclusive.
I think it's more of a cultural thing than it is dependent on just NASCAR or just one thing or another. It's a culture.
Some notable accomplishments of women in NASCAR. Sarah Christian was the very first woman to compete in a NASCAR race behind the wheel. That was 1949, long time before Title IX. After Janet Guthrie's groundbreaking efforts in the Indianapolis 500, she became the first woman to race in NASCAR's biggest event, the 1977 Daytona 500. 1987, Patty Louise was the first to lead a lap in a NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Patty made 133 starts over 12 seasons. Shauna Robinson, the first woman to win pole position for a Nationwide Series race, that at Atlanta in 1994. And just last season, Danica Patrick, with a fourth-place effort at Las Vegas, topped Sarah Christian's mark and posted the highest finish to date by a female driver in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Andy, you have some personal perspective on the broader issue of opportunities for women in athletics.
I have a 15-year-old daughter. She's a three-sport athlete in high school, and I'm real thankful for the opportunities that may face her when she gets to college if she chooses to do that. But you cannot believe what kind of competition you can see out of these female athletes. I go to these high school basketball games and volleyball games, softball games. It's incredible what you see there. And the collegiate level, there's so many opportunities for them now, but there's more opportunities even opening up in racing.
And Rusty, you have some personal perspective on, look, the greater the pool of women driving in the short tracks, the minor leagues of NASCAR, the greater the possibility someone makes it big like Danica Patrick is.
Yeah, Alan, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Look, I've been touring some of the short tracks of America the last couple of weeks, just looking around at different tracks and watching my son run a little bit. In fact, I even rode one time a week ago in Milwaukee, and I got to see a lot of the young women driving. And one lady I keep looking at all the time is Joanna Long. You might hear me talking about her quite a bit. Reason why I'm pretty impressed. She went down to Pensacola, Florida, one of the fastest short tracks around with more cars than anybody. It's a big, big race. And she won that big snowball derby race. My niece, Chrissy Wallace, won the ASA Midwest Championship last year. Yep. There's a lot of ladies like that coming on strong, and I think they're here to stay. I think they're going to do a good job, but they got to have the good equipment to get it done.
Danica Patrick was a winner in IndyCar racing, trying to duplicate that success on the NASCAR side of the business. Mike Massaro spoke with Danica just a few minutes ago.
As much success as Danica Patrick has had, she still faces some hurdles. Recently, her crew chief, Tony Uri Jr., said he doesn't feel like you're getting as much respect out there that you deserve. What do you think?
I think that's more a matter of earning the respect of the new guys that I'm driving around. I feel like through all the improvements that we've made throughout the weekend to be further up the grid, I'm racing against some new guys. And when I first started in NASCAR, I had to earn the respect of the people around me, and it's sort of another phase of that, I think.
We may have some rain on the racetrack. You've got a little bit of experience with that type of racing. How prepared are you for that possibility?
I think I might be the most visible. I think everybody else has an advantage that's around me because my GoDaddy car is so bright. It's going to be like it's going to be very visible. So I feel like I'll be a good marker out there. Hopefully I'm not driving off course, but I lived in England for a few years and I raced in the rain quite a bit. I've never raced these cars in the rain, but as you said, I don't think a lot of people have. So hopefully it'll be a good thing. The most important thing in the rain is you just can't make mistakes. If you don't make a mistake and drive off course, you're sure to have a pretty decent finish.
Good luck today.
Thanks a lot.
Danica Patrick rolls off 10th this afternoon.
Hi, Mike. That discussion about respect came after last Saturday's race in Michigan, where Danica was involved in 3 different incidents. And crew chief Tony Uri Jr. made some remarks over the radio about it. Reporters followed up. What did you see where respect on the track is concerned from Danica?
Alan, I didn't see respect as being a problem whatsoever. Danica just flat spun the car out all by herself 3 times last week. I think what they might be talking about, sometimes the drivers think she's a little bit unpredictable. Only because she's brand new here. They really don't understand her. They don't have any history with her to understand how she's going to drive that car. If they get to her, she's going to give them some room. Or if they get on the inside, what's she going to do? If they get on the outside, what she's going to do? See, no history. A lot of the drivers understand each other, and I think maybe that's what's happening. She's kind of moving down the track, up the track a little bit, and the drivers don't know what's going on. And I think Tony Uri Jr., her crew chief, is saying she's not getting the respect. I think that's what they're talking about.
I didn't see lack of respect last week. Those were her fault, in my opinion. But I have seen in the past other drivers that don't really give her the respect on the track. Sometimes it might not be up front. We might not have it on camera. But I have seen times when other drivers take advantage of her in certain situations. And so I can kind of sympathize with their thinking here. But last week, definitely all her own fault, I think.
Well, Danica starts 10th today here at Road America in what will be a very tense day for the contenders for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship. We'll dig into that story when NASCAR Countdown continues from a, thus far, dry-surfaced 4-mile road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Stenhouse to the checkered flag first.
Yeah, it's easy to keep your cool when people are constantly handing you trophies. But the mark of a true champion is how they react when the wins are replaced with spins.
I think she just blew up.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. pounds the inside wall.
You all right? Nope.
Can they stand back up after they've been knocked down?
Adversity has been a close companion of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and his team these last 3 weeks. The defending series champ today finds himself 3rd in the championship coming into Road America. They came here looking for a way to regain the momentum they were showing just a month ago, but in practice on Friday, it didn't go so well. Stenhouse slipped off the course in a very high-speed part of the track.
Oh, he gets in that corner, the real high-speed corner called the kink, and he gets off course and listen. Toward a left rear quarter panel right off. They had to go to backup car. Definitely not what they needed.
Well, that was Friday. Qualifying this morning went much better. 11th fastest in that backup Mustang. Perhaps the turn of momentum that the defending series champ was looking for to get things pointed back in the right direction. Stenhouse starts 11th today, and that 3-race run leading up to here has taken car 6 from plus 34 points to minus 27 in the championship. Look at those numbers, particularly average points earned. Not too good. Vince, can they turn it around today?
Well, they need a slump buster for sure to get this thing turned around, going the other direction. What do you need today to give you a little more confidence as you move forward?
We just need a solid run. We finished 8th here last year. It's about being around at the end. Our Ford EcoBoost Mustang was fast in qualifying today. Had 2 good laps, and we have to battle the rain, it looks like. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a fun one, but a solid top 10 will be a good finish for us today.
Yeah, still managing a smile. That's always a good sign. Let's go to Jamie.
And Elliott Sadler is the series points leader, just by 8 points, though. But this particular race, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of different agendas. How does that change the way you approach today?
Well, that's a really good question, because there is a lot of different agendas going on right now. And us with our charter car, we need to run the entire race, see the checkered flag. We did a good job of that last year, finishing 4th. We got to know who you're racing. Some of these guys are racing just for the win today. We know that's their best shot to win a race. So you got to know what they're doing, and you got to know who we're racing against in the points championship with the 3 and the 6 and other guys. But hopefully have a good day. Car drove really good yesterday in practice, and we think we'll do the same today.
Have to be heads up all day. He's going to roll off 13th. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Rusty, Sadler, Stenhouse, Dillon, how do they play the race today?
Well, in my opinion right now, Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse are about the same ballpark, Alan. They really are. They don't have the experience at all that Elliott Sadler has. If I'm Elliott Sadler, I want to pounce on it, man. I want to get all the points I possibly can. Yeah, don't wreck the car, get off course, but get some points.
Yeah, I think you're right about Elliott Sadler having the luxury of running this race conservative, but for Stenhouse, it's really a tough one to try to make a rebound. They've had some problems with the car. They've had some problems with the driver making mistakes, and that can happen so easily. Those opportunities are so big here at the road course to make mistakes and have the car let you down. So I think a top 10 run, like you said, or maybe even top 15 and get out of here, that would be a good run for them.
Well, we've got some great views for you to watch as we go through today's race with Race Buddy. Enhanced coverage for select nationwide series races with more cameras than ever. 8 HD camera angles, the DVR, the free scanner, the live chat, live leaderboard, and more. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. The championship, just one of many interesting stories within the race at Road America. The opening ceremony and more of those stories are coming up.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series season is a jigsaw puzzle, a collection of pieces gathered from every corner of the motorsports map, fitted together to form a quiltwork of speedways. Today, we pick up the most unique piece of them all, the road course. A left and right, uphill and downhill, high-speed drive through the Wisconsin countryside.
What a spectacular sight.
Where drivers must step out of their circular comfort zone and step into the wheelhouse of the hired guns. The road course ringers. Here, it's not about points.
You gotta be kidding me. The front fellows obviously not very happy.
It's about pride.
There's a lot of disappointed drivers.
This is a tough one.
A place that is as beautiful as it is treacherous. Ready for something a little different? This is the place they call Road America.
Different indeed, as ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series comes to you today from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and spectacular Road America. It's a wonderful setting, a beautiful racetrack, ringed by thousands of enthusiastic fans, a really interesting field of drivers, the element of strategy, and all topped by the question of just how crazy is the finish going to get. Fun day ahead. Right now, time for us to go trackside for today's opening ceremony.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as we honor America. On the starter's bridge, presenting our nation's colors, is the 357th Brigade Signal Company, Wisconsin Army National Guard. Please remain standing for our invocation by Nick Terry with Motor Racing Outreach.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you, and God, we thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for this event today at Road America. God, we ask your blessings on our competitors today as they race, that you would keep them safe. God, we also thank you for our freedom in this country. Thank you for those who are serving and have served. And most importantly, God, we thank you for your son, Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
And now, here to perform our national anthem, Christy Sadek.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Almost time to go racing at Road America. Little horsepower there. All right, so who's going to be the hero? Will someone be the villain? When we come back, a couple of really good drivers who will be very interesting stories today as we close in on the command to start engines.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Road America is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote. And TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install. Tire Rack.
It's road race weekend. Some may call it road rage weekend. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Sonoma on the road course there tomorrow. Today, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Road America, the challenging 4-mile course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The engines fire in just a moment. A couple of more interesting stories that will play out in today's race. Let's start with Kurt Busch. Spent all day Friday at Sonoma, California, practicing and qualifying his Sprint Cup Series car in the top 10 starters for that race, by the way. Came here to Road America this morning. He's never raced on this racetrack before. He got 3 laps of qualifying under his belt here. What should we expect?
Well, you take a guy like Kurt Busch with the experience he has on road courses. His record speaks for itself. He came in here, qualified 22nd. I know if he'd had more laps, he would have qualified way better than that. But he's going to start at the back because they had to change the transmission. I expect him to pass a lot of cars. I actually expect him to pass enough to get all the way to the lead. I think he can win this race, even though he's starting in the back. He's just that good on the road course.
And he is good. There's no doubt about that. You saw those finishing averages, first, and a third. But, man, when you got to start tailback and you got to start against these really good road race ringers, it's going to be hard to get up through the front of that pack without messing that car up, getting yourself in a crash. Look, I think he can have a good, solid top 5 finish. I think he can get that far. I don't think he's going to win this thing today because it's just too hard for what he's got to overcome.
I vote for that. He's going to be fascinating to watch, that's for sure. Another one that'll be fascinating to watch, Jacques Villeneuve, the former world champion in Formula One racing, who has shown us in his past forays in NASCAR Nationwide Series road course events. He's fast. He's brave. He'll squeeze everything he can out of a race car. That's him in the yellow 32 in this race a couple of years ago. But he's also shown a tendency to his competitors to be extremely aggressive. How will his competitors race him here today?
Alan, his competitors got good memories. There's no doubt about that. They're not going to put up with this crap at all today. If he roughs up anybody out there, they're going to retaliate against him. And if I was Jock, I'd be real careful, my competitors.
He's so fun to watch race on a road course, but he better race today with his head on a swivel because there are a lot of drivers that are not happy with the way that he's been racing. And so they are going to probably race him the same way.
This one at the end of last year's race, where he got a couple of wheels off on the grass, ended up collecting Brian Scott and Max Pappas. Got some folks' attention. Particularly, we will be very interested to follow Villeneuve as he drives Roger Penske's 22 car again today. So, many interesting stories in the field. A race that's been very fun and competitive to watch. We expect to be the same again today. What we need right now are those famous words from trackside.
And now, race fans, to deliver the most famous words in motorsports, President of Sargento Food Service Division, Kevin Delahunt.
Drivers, start your engines!
Well, all right, we're in.
43 cars, roll trackside on the fairway. 2 by 200, 4 on board. Ready to go at Road America, a place where they've been racing for 58 years, but this only the third NASCAR Nationwide Series race at this track. This 4-mile track was designed by a gentleman named Cliff Tufte, who patterned many of the corners after corners on the roads in the area. Let's take a look at what the corners of some of these roads look like here, Rusty.
Let's do it, Alan. This is a 4-mile course, a very long race course. Let's hone in on turn 1, 2, and 3. Turn 1 is a fantastic place to spot. Or a pass. You can really dive bomb people getting this corner, I call it. But if you get in too hot, you can cause big problems in this corner also. Here's another car getting in the corner, wheel hopping. That's something we're going to hear a lot about today, a big problem with wheel hopping.
And then after that set of corners, you've got this long straightaway, turn 4, which I can't find yet, but goes to turn 5. And that's where a lot of problems happen as well. They hard braking corner, a lot of people trying to get position on each other. You get a lot of wheel hop and a lot of aggressive moves in that section of the track.
And Andy, that leads up to turn 6, a real controversial corner, I call it. We've seen a lot of wrecks. We've seen a lot of wheel hop. Probably this particular corner, we're going to see the most action on a tough one. And that leads to turn 7, 8, and 9.
And turn 9, that carousel, 9 and 10, that's a place on the track. You got to have a really good handling car. It's flat. It's a long, sweeping corner. And you got to carry a lot of speed off of this corner here that takes you to a very tricky, narrow part of the track.
Oh, yeah, Andy, you're right. It's called the kink. You got to be brave to get through here. You got to run hard, but not too hard. Saw Ricky Stenhouse there get off course. He had to go to a backup car. That's what you do not want to have happen.
You get off the course there, you're going to hit something hard.
Oh, yeah, another car there also, Alan. Just really roughed that car up.
Yeah, that takes you to another section of the track with a couple of right-hand turns, starting with Canada Corner and a little switch back afterward. Another high-braking zone. Late in the race, you're going to see a lot of action and probably a lot of hurt feelings coming out of this turn.
Which brings you back around to the final corner and that long uphill climb and charge down this massive front straightaway. That is a lap at 4-mile Road America. Quite a challenging track, especially for a guy like Austin Dillon with virtually no road course experience in a race car. He's been being tutored by the very fast, very good, and very funny Max Pappas, including some time in a pace car here early Friday morning.
I think we're going to go around a couple of laps on the track. I'm just going to give you a little pointer on braking point and everything, and so we don't need to call pop later on. This one is pretty tricky place. You got to brake pretty late.
And straight?
Yeah, but it's really easy to get wheel hop because you go downhill. It's the only first gear corner that we have.
Wow.
Yeah, a little bit early turn in and straight off to get good power off. And this one is a typical corner that you need to start letting off here.
Early?
Yeah, let off early. If not, you're going to fly off. You're going to find yourself in the gravel there. I did it. This one is an oval corner on the opposite way. You need to get in, let off oval way, like, gentle with the throttle.
Right against that white line early?
Yeah, a lot more.
Lower?
You need to drive like around the white line like this.
Okay.
And here, back on the gas and continue to turn the steering wheel because the corner gets pretty narrow at the exit. Canada corner is very tricky because you arrive here, you're still cornering a little bit, then you need to go on the brake.
Hold the brake too?
Yeah, hold the brake all the way to make the car turn. And here you're going to feel that the engine bogs down a little bit. The first gear is too short, too many RPM, second gear is a little too long.
Good ride. It's going to be an exciting day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Austin Dillon starting 23rd today. Max Pappas 5th, both in Richard Childress Racing Chevrolets. Aboard a Junior Motorsports Chevy today is our ESPN in-race reporter, Ron Fellows, a 4-time Nationwide Series race winner. He's 2 for 2 in this race. 2 tries, 2 second-place finishes. Rapid Ron in that 5 car. And the green flag next from Road America. The old Beatles song, The Long and Winding Road. Well, the long and winding road at Road America is 4 miles and 14 turns around at pace lap speed, 45 miles an hour. It takes a little while for these cars to get set to go. We're still a couple of minutes away from the green flag. Let's get some more stories from pit road that we'll be following through the course of the race. Dave Burns, you're up.
Alan, to win today, a driver has to be fast, the car has to stay on the track, and the team must manage its fuel. Ideally, you want to be one of the first cars to pit last, but you have to make sure you can get enough fuel in it to make it to the end of the race. And that's where the wild card lays. When is the end of the race? Last year, remember, this race went 28 miles beyond its scheduled distance to try to get a green flag finish. Vince Welch?
Michael McDowell dominated this race a year ago before going off track late in the race, costing himself a shot at victory. McDowell says there are no excuses and there's no extra motivation to get it done today. But what he did learn a year ago is the fact that there was still plenty of life left in his brakes at the end of the race. He said he'll be harder on the brakes today, making sure not to leave anything on the table in pursuit of the victory. Alan?
All right, Vince, thanks. Our ESPN in-race reporter today is certainly one of the favorites to win. Ron Fellows has won at Le Mans. He's won at Daytona. He's won 4 times in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and he's finished second in this race both times that it's been run. Fellows starts third today, Rusty.
Ron Fellows, Rusty Wallace up at the ESPN booth. How you doing, buddy? You got us?
Got you, Rusty. How's things in the booth?
Pretty cozy up here, man. Getting ready for a good race. Hey, we've got an ESPN mailbag question that comes from Seth in Louisville, Kentucky. The question is, how hard is it for you to come in and drive for only a few races a year, adjusting the cars that others have driven all year long?
Well, the most difficult part for me is just getting in sync with the crew. But generally, you know, I got to communicate with them what I need the car to do for me, and so far, so good.
All right, buddy, I'd say talking about today's race, I mean, in the past, there's been a lot of crashes on this particular racetrack late in the race. Is that a big concern for you today?
I think in that last tank of fuel, I'm going to try to save as much rear tire as possible. What bit me last year was just not having enough forward fight for those restarts when we went into overtime.
All right, man, thanks for talking to us. And Andy's going to speak to your crew chief, Tony Uri Sr. now.
Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to a buddy of mine, Dennis, back in Lorne Park. Dennis, you best be watching.
Hey, Pops, Andy Petrie in the booth. We know how important strategy is at a road course, especially here with this track being so long at 4 miles. How aggressive are you going to be with that fuel strategy and making that last pit stop, knowing that this thing could go, like Dave Burns just said, 28 miles overtime?
Well, the race ends up being, with our qualifying laps, we end up having, a 2-stop race, and virtually everybody's in the same boat. We're looking at stopping at 14 and then lap 32. You really don't have any other options. So, if the caution comes out, I'll change that a little bit. But right now, the strategy is 14:32, and, the green-white checkers are not in that. So that's kind of what throws us curve here at this racetrack.
Well, Pops, I don't envy your spot on top of the box. Good luck, and thanks for talking to us, buddy.
Right, appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy the race. Hope the rain stays away.
I think we're good on that from watching the radar. I think for a good portion of the day, we're going to be shower-free. Another pace lap to go. More stories from pit road in the meantime. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, Alan, the first 2 pit stalls on pit road will be the spot to watch today. The number 1 box is your pole sitter, Nelson Piquet Jr. Right next to him, the 22 of Jacques Villeneuve. Both drivers come from a Formula One background, and both are considered road course ringers. And although this is both of their first start this year in the Nationwide Series, they have a legitimate shot of going to victory lane. They get the win, it'll be their first in NASCAR. Mike Massaro?
Just before he buckled in for qualifying, Kurt Busch said he had butterflies. Not exactly what you expect to hear from a former Sprint Cup Series champion, but you can understand why. Those qualifying laps were Busch's first here at Road America ever. While he was tending to business in Sonoma, Colin Brown was setting up the car. Busch hopes he did a very good job because he's got his work cut out for him today. The team had to change transmissions after qualifying. Consequently, Busch will have to charge his way to the front all the way from the back, Alan.
Michael, thank you. The field just in turn 6 on the final pace lap. That means we're still about 3.5 minutes away from the green flag. A quick break and back for the start of the Sargento 200 at Road America. Coming to the green at Road America, the field of 43 to go 50 laps, just a shade over 200 miles around this 4.048-mile track. Some great high-definition onboard views for you to see today. Championship leader Elliott Sadler with our Chevy on board. Defending series champ Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the Ford EcoBoost camera. Danica Patrick's got the GoDaddy.com camera aboard today. Michael McDowell with a view from the office with a Toyota on board. Ron Fellows, our Nationwide Insurance onboard camera, got the shifter cam also on board his car to watch him work. Jacques Villeneuve carrying the Dodge on board, a view over his shoulder. Justin Allgaier with the Fresh from Florida Gulf Seafood camera. And Max Pappas with our Goodyear on board. We'll watch Max work the pedals today in his Chevrolet. 50 laps, 43 drivers, one trophy, and a tough turn one for all of them to make it through in one piece. For the third time, the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes racing at Road America. Here we go.
Computer around this 4.04-mile layout. Waiting for the green flag to fly. Kevin Moss keeps the pace down. They have yet to display the green. Now it's in the air. Green flag. Go, go, go. Green flag. Clear by 2.
No, hang on, Danica. A little sideways on the brakes there, going into turn 3.
I tell you, that was really key that Nelson Piquet Jr. got out front right there.
Very clean start.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get that clean start, you get that clean air, you get the grip, and you can kind of check out like he talked about before the race he wanted to do.
Second place, McDowell to the inside of Fellows, 18-5. There's Villeneuve in the 22. Going to try and fill the spot.
I wouldn't cut that guy off. That could be a dangerous move. Got away with it, though.
See if there's any damage to the right front fender of that 22.
Usually it waits till later in the race to get crazy.
That's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah.
Kind of mind your P's and Q's right now early in this event. Nobody wants to lock the tires up, wheel hop. This important corner coming up here in turn 9, which is the carousel we call it. And Andy, this leads to the kink, a corner that you and I have talked about quite a bit. This is where Ricky Stenhouse went off in practice. You got to be brave to get through this corner. You got to run hard. If you run too hard, you get off course to the left and get in a wall.
You can see how fast it is through that section, and it's so narrow. It's almost like going in a tunnel.
Down through Kettle Bottoms to Canada Corner.
It's another good passing zone. Early in the race, you're going to save the brakes, not be too aggressive. You see Elliott Sadler trying to make a pass on Michael Annett right there.
That's actually more of a defensive move. He's going down to that corner. He doesn't want the car behind him to try to make a dive bomb move. So he moves over a little bit early on the straightaway. It kind of prevents that.
Alan coming off of turn 14 right here as a driver. This is a corner
First move
that
to
I
pit road. Sorry, Rusty. First move to pit road. Lap 1.
Hey, you see a couple cars. We've heard a couple of cars going to pit right off the bat, try to top off with some fuel and work their strategy right now. So Michael Annett in the 43 car coming down. Ricky Stenhouse in the 6 car.
Yeah, there's no penalty, really. I mean, you're going to lose, obviously, some time to the leaders, but you're not going to lose a lap. It'll put you in a different place on the track. You can go out there, I'm thinking, just like maybe Mike Kelly is here, that he can get his car out there by himself with Ricky and just make laps, make good laps and stay out of trouble. Here comes the 6 car, Vince.
Boy, Andy, you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly the thinking of crew chief Mike Kelly. Now you're seeing the 43 of Michael Annett celebrating his birthday today. Both cars wanted to come in, get fueled up, but more than anything, get away from the craziness of the traffic at the beginning of this race.
For the lead, Nelson Piquet Jr., 30, 18, Michael McDowell. That's turn 6. That difficult left-hander right at the crest of a hill where the track kind of falls out from under you, and then you got to hang a left.
I've really been impressed with Piquet so far this weekend. Every time I watch his car, I don't see it out of shape. I don't see him wheel hopping it. I don't see him run off the track. He's running a nice conservative line right now against Michael McDowell. Looks like Michael wants this lead pretty bad, though.
Andy, I tell you, Nelson Piquet Jr., this might be one of the new road course superstars we'll be talking about a lot in the future. We've been talking about Marcus Ambrose, guys like that are really good, but Junior's impressed us so far.
One of the characteristics of a stock car is, under braking, they're pushing just a little bit, but under hard braking, they tend to pop those rear wheels. It's called wheel hop. Some of these real good road racers are so good on the brakes that's one of the hurdles they have to kind of climb over, is trying to figure out how to really maximize the braking with these style of cars.
I tell you what, it's well put, because some of the cars these folks have been used to driving don't wheel hop. Different type of suspensions. And when these new road race ringers get in here and overdrive these cars, they experience that wheel hop. As a driver, you got to experience first before you understand how to fix it and address it. And I'm sure he'll go through that today.
Now, let's also point out that Piquet Jr. is a full-time driver in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. So he is running a similar suspension type to these. The aerodynamics are different, and they don't run on a road course. But
yeah,
he is getting experience with this kind of vehicle.
Yeah, he does understand the stock car characteristic, and he's done a good job with it so far this weekend.
Yes, he has. So there's first and second. While you watch this, Sam Hornish Jr. ducking onto pit road here after 2 laps of the event are complete and working lap 3, Jamie.
Well, he started this race 8th, and the reason they're pitting is to get out of that mess, just like we heard on the first 2 previous pit stops. Get him out, get him in his own air. They're going to fill him up with Sunoco fuel. No tires here and no changes for Sam Hornish Jr., who's off sequence now.
So this kind of a different version of that. Oh, for the lead on the right side. McDowell with a run up the hill to turn 6. That's a left-hander coming up.
Yeah, PK almost had to give him that spot in that situation.
Now, Michael's definitely quicker. He's really all over his bumper, and now I expect McDowell to set sail a little bit, but that was really smart.
4 forward away, all you.
Piquet Jr. do that rather than get pressured, because turn 6 is where the pass happened. And we talked earlier in the broadcast, that's where most of the problem was last year, so you don't want to mess up in that corner.
So McDowell out in front, first lead change of the race. Talked about Kurt Busch being a fascinating story to watch. Talked about him only having the 3 laps of qualifying his experience here and starting in the back because the 54 team had to change transmissions. He hasn't stayed there for long. Kurt Busch 21st after 1 lap from 43rd. 17th now.
Well, at that rate, he'll be leading here in a couple of laps, right?
I tell you what, he is flying through that field, but I will promise you one thing. The farther he gets up there, the tougher it's going to get.
Pretty good start for the 54, Michael.
Yeah, starting way back deep in the field after that transmission change. And as we mentioned, a transmission change, maybe an understatement. They changed it 3 times this weekend, I've been told. I just asked the team how it's working out right now. No issues with the transmission thus far.
And Kurt getting settled in and feeling out this racetrack under racing conditions, which I imagine has to be easier when you're chasing people and you're following them around and measuring yourself off them. It's got to be easier as a driver to learn the track that way than when you're just out there in the qualifying laps by yourself, I would think. Getting fuel into the car, very, very, very important here. We've talked about it several times. Watch. Come on. Why is it taking so long? Come on, come on, come on. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. No, don't take that can out of the box. Penalty coming up for equipment removed from the pit box for Sam Hornish Jr.
Can't do that.
Euro 2012 continues tomorrow on ESPN. Wayne Rooney and England take on Italy in the quarterfinals. It's England-Italy tomorrow, 2:30 on ESPN. ESPN Deportes, ESPN 3. Watch ESPN. During the break, a couple of quick pit stops by Kurt Busch and Jacques Villeneuve. And you're on board with Michael McDowell, the race leader. And if you're not a regular to NASCAR racing and you're saying, come on, 1 lap, 4 laps into the race and these guys are pitting already, that's what's different about the strategy on a road course. It's not run as far from the start on a tank of fuel as you can. It's back up as far from the finish on a tank of fuel as you can as McDowell hits pit road from the lead.
Long way up here. He's got to get the pit road speed by that mark and carry it all the way up. You can see there's not even a pit stall for a good ways, almost 800 feet up here to the first pit stall. They have to carry that same speed, 35 miles an hour, all the way down pit road.
It seems like it takes forever. Oh my gosh. You look out the window from the booth, watch them go by. It looks like they're crawling. And it takes a long time.
Got a lot of people on pit road here. Vince?
Well, crew chief Matt Luke is begging McDowell, don't slide the tires because they're not going to change them. They're just giving him fuel, filling it up for the 18, the leader, Michael McDowell.
PK Junior's crew chief Trent Owens knows how to get this race won. He did it last year. Fuel only for Nelson Piquet. They're filling him all the way up. 9.5, and he stalls it on the exit.
Max Pappas, Miguel Paludo, Elliott Sadler pictured here in. Also Austin Dillon on the pit lane here at lap 5.
Sadler taking the time to change tires, so is Dillon's crew. You can see them changing tires. Dave?
They're going to take 4, Andy, on the 3 car. They have not, he has not given them any feedback on the car yet. And the reason they started so far back was that thing you talked about early in the broadcast, wheel hop. He stalls it leaving. That won't be a big problem right now. But wheel hop during qualifying, they thought that the brakes were cold, and he had a couple of times on that qualifying lap, and that's why he started the race 23rd.
Okay, thanks. Past that yellow line that signifies the end of the pit road speed limit zone and back up to speed. Now, we heard from Tony Uri Sr., crew chief for Ron Fellows, the laps when he would call this 5 car into pits during our in-race reporter segment.
He's got a little different view on how to do this strategy. He's going to split it up and make it a 2-stop race. The other cars are working it from the end of the race backwards. And they know that if they pit now, they don't actually close the window. They can make it on the same amount of stops. But if the caution comes out, they'll stay on the track. They won't come in, and they won't lose all the spots by coming down pit road.
I've been saving a little fuel and saving my brakes already.
That's a good sign that she's able to maintain pace and not use the car up.
I think if you can do that early in the race, it's just going to pay dividends at the end of the race. I know every crew chief I know of would have said, hey, great.
Yeah, it's easy to get an inside wheel to get up in the air.
That's another good thing, and that's one thing you got to watch for, because under hard braking into these right-handers especially, you can slide that right front tire, and when you do that, it'll try to find that flat spot every time you go in the corner, and it just gets worse and worse.
On these road courses with the big sway bars around and the way these drivers are driving in the corners, you really want to try to brake while you're not turning. You want to get both the wheels feeling about the same weight as the driver when you apply the brakes, so you don't lock up the right or the left. But some of them don't do that just right. They start locking either one up. And a good racer, or a good road racer, will understand how to do that technique.
Yeah, it's if you carry the brakes too far into the corner, then that's when you have that problem. If you can do all your braking straight like she's doing right here, and then release the brakes to make the corner, that's the best technique you can use.
Yeah, you don't want to drive in a corner deep. Be turning. If you're turning left deep, you'll lock that left front corner up, and vice versa. You don't want to do that.
So the cycling of pit stops has pushed Fellows to the lead, Brian Scott to second, Justin Allgaier to third. They're right in front of Danica in that 31 car. Patrick to fourth, and Jason Bowles up to fifth position in the 81.
Yeah, don't be surprised about Jason Boyles now. I've talked about him earlier. He's a really good road racer. Did a lot of racing up in Canada. He's won several times up in Canada, Jason has. And that 81 car right there with Jason driving, really good short track racer. Won the Toyota All-Star Shootout in Urbandale, California. So he's got some history. A good little racer.
Vince up to fifth place.
Yeah, indeed. And remember, a year ago, he qualified well for this race. Started 10th last season. Right now says it's a little free on the right-handers. Nothing he can really do from the handling perspective when he's on the brakes. So that's something they'll talk about and consider changing when he's coming for his next stop.
All right, Vince. Right behind Bowles is Cole Witt in the 88. One of a handful of drivers that had practice troubles and damaged their cars. Brad Sweet had to go to a backup car. We talked about Stenhouse in the backup car. This 88 team damaged their car as well. It was a little bit rugged here on Friday. But so far, the start of the race has been caution-free. Nobody's set a wheel off yet. Ron Fellows is out in front. Beautiful Road America and the Sargento 200. Remember, fans, check out Race Buddy, enhanced coverage for select NASCAR Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy is the spot. Beautiful look down on this 4-mile, 14-turn course. Watch Rapid Ron Fellows jamming the gears as the race leader.
Oh, I love that shot. You can tell him going all the way to first gear to come off of this corner.
What happened there? Something just happened to the 5 car.
Yeah, I thought I saw something there. Looked like it wheel hopped on one of the...
Yeah, he's definitely got a mechanical failure right now.
Something going on with Ron Fellows from the race lead. Brian Scott has gone by him. We rode with Fellows as he came off that left-hand corner, and it just didn't seem like it went right.
It looked like when he made that upshift, that car shuddered real bad. I was thinking maybe it's just spun the wheels. It could have maybe shook some teeth off of the transmission gear. Motor sounds fine here.
I'm not for sure. He's got a flat tire, maybe. We might have to take a look at that.
Has he changed gears since we heard him have the problem?
I'm speculating. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
He's intentionally not going past that speed. I don't know if, like you say, Rusty, he's got a flat tire or whether he's got a transmission issue.
All right, so Brian Scott goes to the point. Here's the race for second. Allgaier and Danica Patrick.
There's Brian Scott there, as you can see in front of these two.
Right now, Ron Fellows does have a flat tire. He won't get lapped because the course is so big.
But he's given up a lot of time.
Yeah. Justin Allgaier there, he thought he had it won last year. Running out of gas at the very end. But I tell you, I'm still really impressed with Danica Patrick. She's really showing a lot of maturity when it comes to driving this car, keeping this thing on course. The communication she had with her crew is incredible. So here comes Fellows. Left front flat tire, guys. That's the problem.
Go ahead, Mike.
Rusty's spot on, left front flat. They're going to change all 4 on the 5 and hope to make up some of this lost real estate. As you guys alluded to, lost quite a bit of ground because of that flat tire. Very slow on the racetrack. Team completing work on the left side, now swinging around to the right side. The complete service. A second can of fuel going in now for Ron Fellows as he's away.
Well, his left front tire was not completely down on the rim. It looked like he was very conservative getting it back to the pits and not tearing up the car. He may have given up just a little more time than he needed to. It looked like he probably could have gone a little bit quicker with what he had. But he didn't know that, and he was just trying to take care of the car to make sure he has something to race it with at the end.
So basically, I mean, as a crew chief, Andy, you'd be telling him, don't go too quick because you got a flat tire, you're going to tear the fender off. We don't want that problem. So I guess that's the reason he was keeping us so slow.
Brian Scott, nearly 4 seconds ahead of second place.
I'm telling you, I watched him when he went on the track, very first practice session, and I was like, wow, he is really visibly fast. It's just impressive right off the bat. I don't know what he's been doing to hone his road racing skills, but it's definitely showing this weekend.
Had a couple of great finishes here recently on the oval tracks, too, after a very difficult start to the season for Brian Scott. They've got it going in the right direction in that Joe Gibbs Racing 11.
It's like Allgaier maybe closed the gap just a little bit, and Danica staying right with him.
Putting a lot of pressure, and he's making a lot of mistakes.
Said she's putting on a lot of pressure, and he's making a lot of mistakes. And I thought, you know, when she came up behind him, catching him's one thing, passing him's another. And at this stage in the race, when you talked about trying to save brakes and save fuel, how aggressive will you be?
Yeah, she's in a good position to just sit right there. They're not losing any time to the leader. Obviously, they can see. And not to push the car. Don't take a chance on wheel hop.
Still saving some fuel for sure.
Short shifting, so she knows she's saving fuel.
I'll tell you, what I've been hearing, though, she's got a lot of confidence. To come over here and say, hey, I pressured him into making mistakes, that lets her know that, hey, I'm feeling pretty good about this right now. Usually it's the other way around. I'll be easy. I'll take care of it. I won't let anybody pressure me. But now she switched the role. I'm pretty happy with her. I mean, she's getting it on out there, guys.
Brad Sweet, Mike Wallace on the pit lane. Dave?
Brad Sweet's first road course experience. It cost them their primary car in practice. This backup car right now lacking some rear grip. They'll make an air pressure adjustment as they fill it full of Sunoco fuel and give Brad 4 fresh tires. Mike Shiplett said he's really improving on his lap times all throughout the day, except for the problem with the crash. And even in qualifying, he picked up a 1.5 seconds over his best practice time. So Brad learning the course.
All right, Dave, so Brad Sweet headed back out onto the racetrack with Mike Wallace. Pass-through penalty, Jason Bowles speeding, entering pit road for his stop.
That hurts.
Doing a pass-through penalty right now. So following up on the Ron Fellows problem, Mike, what do you see?
It was indeed a left front tire. They scoured over the tire to find the puncture wound, and here it is. The air's still coming out. I'm going to use this piece of paper to illustrate how much pressure is coming out of this tire. You can see it just blows the piece of paper right away. Obviously not exactly what this team expected, but it did happen early, so they've got some time to try to make up this ground, Alan.
That's one of the problems, Mike, with road course racing is you have a lot of debris that gets kicked up on the track from other cars, and that does sometimes cause a problem for other competitors getting flat tire.
All right, so the cost for Ron Fellows. Remember, McDowell made the pit stop before Fellows. Now Fellows has been in. In relation to the lead, the guy that will cycle around to the lead, Ron Fellows is 45 seconds behind him on the racetrack. He needs a full course caution. Pace car come out and close it up would help him out a lot.
I'll make you a bet. I'll bet you we'll get one.
Yeah. If you want a little statistical quirk about this race, Rusty, both races at Road America, 7 cautions for 14 caution laps. Both times. Now, last year, a bunch of those were on the green-white checkers. We'll see how this one works out. Live at Road America, weren't we just discussing full course cautions when we went to the break? And as we went away, one came out. TJ Bell driving the 50 car found some trouble in the final of the 14 corners here at Road America.
Got just off the track, almost to the gravel. And couldn't get it in reverse and get going again. So he just got in there too hot. No big deal. If he could have got going, it wouldn't have caused the caution, but he couldn't.
Second place changed hands.
Hey, you saw Danica Patrick right on the back of Allgaier, and Allgaier wheel hops the back of his 31 car, gets over there to rumble strips. Let's listen to this. And she said earlier that she pressured him, and she did pressure him right off the racetrack right there. She did a good job.
So caution out for the first time in the race helps Ron Fellows, brings him back up to Michael McDowell, who was the leader before the cycling of pit stops began. Your opinion, Andy, on where it leaves Brian Scott, Danica Patrick, Justin Allgaier, and the guys who have not yet pitted?
Well, it's put them at a disadvantage. If they make a pit stop now, traditionally you think, well, the caution comes out, we'll make a pit stop. That really kills you here because all these cars that made those green flag stops, they didn't lose a lap. So they can close up every bit of distance they lost making that pit stop right now. And if these cars pit, they'll have to line up behind them. So it puts them at a disadvantage by being out front.
My mind shifts to one thing. The first 2 cars that came to pit road first, you saw Michael Annette and Ricky Stenhouse, and they heard the reason they pitted is to stay out of the congestion, to get away from all these guys. So now they're all jammed back up in these guys, and I'm going to see how Ricky's going to drive. This guy's had a lot of bad luck. He wrecked his primary car in practice. Stenhouse can't afford to tear another car up and lose any more points right now in this race, which he'll tell you he's not a great road racer. He's a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah, you look at Kurt Busch. He started at the back, made a pit stop, but now he can erase all of the time that he lost when he made that stop. He's up inside the top 15.
And you know that Kurt has got a lot of experience right now. He's never been to this racetrack. He's had enough time to get around it to understand the course and get confident with it.
Well, we will see who does what here. If we see Stenhouse and company make another pit stop, because it was lap 1 when they pitted, or if they stay out on the racetrack and then come in under green. We'll see what Brian Scott's team chooses to do with the race leader, who had not yet made a pit stop.
Well, we're within 1 lap of win. We heard Pops Yuri say that he wanted to pit the car of Fellows, even though he had a problem, had to pit under green anyway. So this is kind of at that window. You think that the teammate there, the 7 car with Danica, they might think about pitting under caution.
Right now, the top 5 on the racetrack have not yet visited pit road. Scott, Patrick, Allgaier, Cole Witt.
Open, we are pitting, copy.
Yes, ma'am, pitting, 4 tires.
And John Young in the 26, who shows in 5th position. Free pass to Matthew Bell in the 4 car. That's him there, 5th in line. He's going to get to go around the pace car, get back on the lead lap. He's the first car, 1 lap down. Pit road speeding penalties, big concern here. It's a long pit road, a couple thousand feet from that yellow line that Danica Patrick's crossing now till pit exit.
Into the first pit box, about 800 feet. That's a long way to hold pit road speed.
Yep.
We've seen Villeneuve in the 22 making another pit stop. He'd already made a pit stop under green.
And Brian Scott stays out. Mike?
And Danica Patrick makes that long commute down pit road and hits her marks perfectly. The team going to work. A 4-tire change here on the GoDaddy machine. They complete their service on the left side, move over to the right. Vince?
The 6 of Ricky Stenhouse is coming. Stenhouse says the car is not too bad, but he needs a little bit more drive off. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Justin Allgaier gives up the 3rd position, but he didn't want to. We heard Danica's radio transmission earlier talking about him making mistakes. His water bottle has come loose inside the car. It was getting under the pedals. Crew member going in to try to get that water bottle out right now so Justin can move this car. They filled it full of Sunoco fuel, changed 4 tires, made an air pressure adjustment to adjust it, but the biggest thing is to get that water bottle dislodged from underneath his pedals. Alan?
They just need to take the time right now and fix that. I mean, whatever it takes, don't get in a big hurry, get that water bottle out, because if it gets between the brake pedal, gas pedal, I'm telling you guys, I've had that happen before. It's annoying, and it can cause the throttle to hang wide open and cause a big wreck.
Maybe that's what got him in trouble over there in turn 5 when he gave up 2nd spot.
Now, you think all the things that can go wrong in the race. This is that right there has got to be frustrating.
Drivers shouldn't have a water bottle anyway.
No, you can't. You should
listen to you.
You can't let them do
come
anything.
On, Alan, look, it's a 3-hour, 2-hour race. You'll be able to run a 2-hour race without drinking water.
Oh, boy.
Well, there's a couple of ways you can do that. They have onboard systems, too, with just a hose that they use as a straw that wouldn't have that problem. But
that's what you did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Your drivers had that.
Yep.
Y'all set.
Track position lost to a water bottle for Justin Allgaier, who gives up 2nd spot and is still sitting on the pit road. His radio is disconnected from his helmet. The ALNL Showdown, presented by State Farm, continues on ESPN and ESPN2. First tomorrow at 8 on ESPN, the Subway Series on baseball's biggest stage. CC Sabathia and R.A. Dickey head-to-head. The Yankees visiting Citi Field to take on the Mets. Then it's Monday. Asdrubal Cabrera and the Indians heading into the Bronx to face Derek Jeter and the Yankees at 7 on ESPN2. Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. And Monday Night Baseball, presented by USAA. Passing the time in the infield. Or the outfield, whichever side of the racetrack that might be considered to be on. Brian Scott, race leader, coming to pit road after all the other cars pitted under this caution.
Well, he just wasn't quite in the window that they wanted to be in to make the stop. He may even make another one before we go green.
Bring your marks to the 31 box. 31 box.
I want to discuss that with you more in a minute, Mr. Petrie. First, let's cover the stop. Here's Jamie.
Well, crew chief Kevin Kidd told his driver, we're in this box. I'm not going to say the lap. It was lap 13. He wanted to hit no matter what. So just now he said, we're going to get the one to go. Let's go ahead and pit and fill it up. He said, we're the only ones on this strategy, but I think it is the right move. Mike?
This is Ron Fellows' 2nd stop during this caution period. They'll just top him off with fuel. The first time, though, they had to rectify a radio situation. The antenna had come out of his radio, Dave.
Austin Dillon is on pit road again during this pit stop. They took fuel only on the first pit stop. And since they're back in the pack, they're going to take fuel only again. The big problem for Austin right now, no 3rd gear. They're going to try to nurse it home.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's bad news, and it's not going to get better.
All right, so let's talk about this strategy for the 11 here for just a minute there, Andy.
Well, okay.
You're the race leader under the caution. You've just allowed all these other people to pit on the first lap. The pits were open, take on fuel, come back onto the racetrack ahead of you, and now you've pitted under the yellow and come back out behind them.
Well, one thing that you got to keep in mind is that these are almost like free stops, because track position really is not that critical at this point of the race. They're really racing for that last segment. They're trying to put themselves in a position to make that last pit stop as early as they can and try to maintain track position after the last stop. Right now, it's almost like having some free time to work on the car. I bet you we see him pit again before the green comes out.
Be interesting to see how it plays out. A lot of different strategies being thrown on the table early here at Road America. Michael McDowell has cycled back to the race lead under caution. Coming to the restart in the Sargento 200 at Road America. Fans, remember, check out Race Buddy, enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. Michael McDowell, left of your picture. Max Pappas, right of your picture. Green flag coming into the bottom of your picture.
Tapping that green flag on the barricade of his flag stand, as he always does, is Kevin Moss. He'll look that field over.
Man, that restart zone is close to the start-finish line, isn't it?
It is.
Wave the green flag.
McDowell got the gearbox good.
For the lead, Max Pappas inside of McDowell, turn 3.
Mad Max Pappas, this guy wants to win real bad in his 33 car, and every time he gets in this car, he runs strong. But you see McDowell really pressuring him, getting down to turn 5.
That's going to be the outside for the next turn. It's a left-hander.
Still out there. Still outside.
It's not going to be able to make the pass, but that kind of makes a statement when you pull up beside a guy like that on the straightaway.
Yeah, when you go into a high-speed left-hander and you're on the outside with all those rumble strips, I'm like, I wouldn't try that one right now this early.
Might want to revisit the strategy a little bit. Ryan Scott should only have to make one more pit stop, and that could put him in a really good place. If he could run till the 18 laps to go, then he could probably make it. The other cars are not going to be able to do that. They're going to have to make at least 2 more from here, especially these leaders.
Corner coming up right now, the carousel we call it, turn 9. I keep talking about the kink, which they're about to approach right now, a real high-speed right-hand corner. There's been many, many different style of cars that have run at this track, and they tell me they've had some of the worst crashes, big IndyCar wrecks in that kink. A lot of people have been hurt, but you got to be brave to get through it if you want to run fast.
You got to be brave to do it, period.
Yeah. Canada corner, turn 12, they call it, as you climb uphill into turn 13, Andy.
You see right here, they got another little switch back they've got to negotiate. And they make it over here to the last corner, turn 14.
On board Max Pappas. Watch the feet do their thing.
Just pats that throttle a little bit when it shifts.
See, he's also messing with some switches up there, probably some brake blowers.
Some of the road course drivers use the clutch to shift. He doesn't.
See, he is using the clutch on the downshift.
Yeah. On the upshift, they'll just pull it in gear. On the downshift, they'll use that clutch a little bit. That's how I did it. It gives you more confidence, and you don't miss any gears like that. Some guys don't use the clutch at all.
I love this view. You got 3 ways you can look at this. You see Max working inside the car. You can see what the result is by how far he is ahead of second place.
We consider Max for sure one of the road race ringers we talk about all the time. A lot of experience. He drove the Grand Am cars, Indy cars. Max has drove a little bit of everything and runs exceptionally well in these nationwide cars.
So Max Pappas out in front. 5th different driver to lead this race. Catch up on a couple of stories from the cycle of pit stops. The top 12 on the restart had not stopped on this most recent cycle. Caution is out. Being told there's some debris.
Caution.
On the front straightaway just past the start-finish line. There it is.
Yeah, right in front of our booth.
Yeah, that's a piece of metal, too. That's some type of a cover. It actually looks like a battery cover to me. And is that the battery box?
That may be the foam that held the battery in the box. Might be the battery inside the foam.
There's a lot of debris out there.
All right, second yellow of the race is out. So we just button up a couple of things here. So you got Pappas, McDowell, Paludo, Hornish Jr., Sadler, Sweet. Those first 6 did not pit on that last round of stops. Danica
Road is
Patrick
open here, Max. We will pit this time. Pit this time.
was the first off the pit lane on the last cycle of caution flag stops. She restarted in 12th and has already moved up to 7th.
Well, there's a couple things here, Alan. One thing tells me that Patrick is probably getting better mileage than most cars on the track. And this particular team historically gets better mileage than most teams. So I think they're probably in the best position. They can make it on one more stop, and they'll wait till they have to do that. And now we're going to see these other teams get back on the same strategy, but they're going to lose some track position to Danica. See, Danica stays on the track.
Indecision there. Who was that?
Like Paludo, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was. Made the last second turn back out onto the racetrack. Pappas, McDowell, Hornish Jr., Sadler, all in. Bliss, Bowles, Allgaier, Mike Wallace will be the ones who stop. $17 complete. Working lap 18. The top 2 are in, Vince.
Michael McDowell and his crew asked him to give him a little space between the wall and the car. He didn't want it to be too tight for the guys going around the car. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, slight air pressure change. Dave Burns.
Leader Max Pappas hits his mark perfectly. It'll be 4 fresh tires full of Sunoco fuel. No changes. The car perfectly balanced right now. The man from Como, Italy.
Sam Hornish in. Tight there on the pit exit. Wow.
Looks like Justin Allgaier beat Max Pappas out, our race leader. Good stop out of the 31 car of Allgaier.
Because he spent so much time on the pit lane before, I'm sure that was just a top off of fuel. All right, little splash and go for the 31. Got some track position back.
Yeah, it worked out good for him.
He had fallen all the way back to 25th place by that problem chasing the water bottle around the floorboard of the car.
Was there something on the front straight? I just heard a huge clunk.
We can confirm there was something on the front stretch.
Yeah, there was some debris along the front straightaway in a couple of different spots.
Patrick running in second behind Miguel Paludo. He was the one that made the last-minute move back onto the racetrack instead of pitting under the second caution at Road America. While we're under caution here at Road America, we look ahead to next weekend's NASCAR Nationwide Series race, which is on Friday at the very fast mile-and-a-half Kentucky Motor Speedway. 9 different winners and 11 Nationwide Series races at that track. The only guy to win more than once, the hottest driver this season, Joey Logano. Can he do it again? Friday, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Here at Road America, we are 17 laps, a little past quarter distance into today's Sargento 200. A few noteworthy events in the opening moments. Sam Hornish Jr. penalized, carrying equipment out of the pit box.
See a lot of guys having a tough problem getting out of the pits in first gear because it's such a high gear because they're using it for downshift, so they're paying in the pit area.
8 laps in, Ron Fellows leading, slowed at a flat left front. Justin Allgaier has had a problem.
He had a water bottle floating around in the floorboard. They had to spend a lot of time on pit road to get it out.
A variety of pit stop strategies have kept the leaderboard constantly shuffling in this one. Miguel Paludo in the 32, Danica Patrick in the 7, side by side for the restart.
Wait. Start looking this. Go, go, go. Go, 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 go.
of the varying strategies and all of the different shuffling going on. We see Jacques Villeneuve back up to third. Kurt Busch in sixth. And here's Ron Fellows trying to get ninth from Gonzalez.
Oh. See, Kurt Busch got in just a little bit hot. Had to pay for it.
Two inside. You're 3 wide. You're 2 inside. 2 inside. 1 inside.
No. Just got to calm down just a little bit. They're roughing him up right now. I tell you what, Kurt Busch has come a long way in a short time, guys. Getting from dead last all the way up to 10th where he is right now. Incredible run out of Kurt Busch.
And by the way, 19th and 20th were where Michael McDowell and Max Pappas, the leaders before the caution, restarted. Kurt Busch just joining us. Started this race with 3 laps of experience at Road America in a Nationwide Series car. His 3 laps of qualifying earlier today. They had to start at the back due to changing a transmission. There's the scoring serial on Kurt. He's in the top 10.
Done a good job of managing the race so far, and Kurt's obviously really good at road racing, and he's doing his job too.
Here comes PK Jr. inside of Cole Witt. That'll be 5th place.
Cole Witt on the same fuel strategy as Danica Patrick. Pitted on lap 13 was their last pit stop.
PK Jr. led the opening couple of laps of this race in that 30 after starting on pole position.
Now, the guy I want to look at is coming up the hill now. Ron Fellows just went past us, our in-race reporter. He was fast as lightning early in this race. And you remember he had the flat left front tire which got him behind. I expect him to start charging back up through this field now.
There's Brian Scott, yellow 11, looking inside of Stenhouse Jr. Brian Scott led a chunk of this race. Caution flag before he had made his first move to pit road, set him back in traffic. And by the way, just a note, you see the windshield wiper on that 11 car. Big shower approached this speedway just before the start of the race. It kind of dissipated on the radar. I will tell you that further to our west, there are some green things on the radar, but I'm not sure that they're going to get here before this race is over. However, NASCAR does have rain tires here at Road America. That's why the windshield wiper is on that 11 car, just in case.
Saw Ricky Stenhouse get that off to the right side, those rumble strips. I'm telling you what, when you get there, you got no traction. The car is jumping all over the place. We saw some chassis damage by getting on that a year ago, Andy, where they break the track bar. It's a real rough portion of the track.
Yeah, it's very hard on the rear suspension. Like you said, the track bar is the weakest link of that particular part. Get all that wheel hopping action going on. That's hard on trailing arms and the track bar.
Talk about a diversity of backgrounds and experience in this top 3, right? Miguel Paludo, 28-year-old from Brazil, in his 3rd year of NASCAR, 2nd full in the Camping World Truck Series. Couple-time champion of the Porsche GT Cup Series in his native Brazil before going oval track racing. Danica Patrick, making her way in NASCAR, but not known in IndyCar racing for having road courses being the better of her strengths. The oval tracks were where she was better accomplished. And then Jacques Villeneuve, the Formula One world champion, driving Roger Penske's 22 car, sitting there in 3rd. He's been aggressive. He's been impressive in his past NASCAR Nationwide Series starts, and he's sniffing that lead again.
I cannot tell you, though, how impressed I am with this 7 car. She is running an incredible race. The car is extremely good. She's been very patient. She's faster than Miguel Paludo right now. And Jacques Villeneuve, you said he's a world champion. He's not even catching him.
Little defensive line there by the 32.
I was blocking her off. Yeah, he doesn't want her to get inside up, getting into turn 1 right there. But she is putting pressure on him like she did Justin Allgaier earlier. Her car is just fast, guys.
Inside for the lead.
Oh, what a great move.
That is what I call just a flat, legitimate pass right there. She just powered past him. Every time I try to predict what's going to happen to Danica Patrick, I seem like I'm wrong. I need to think backwards. I never thought that she would run so good at Darlington, South Carolina.
Look out.
Okay, I jinxed her.
Well, she made a mistake.
22. Still there to 30. Got room behind the 30. Clear.
I'm still going back to what I said. She's very, very
got a long ways
impressive.
to go here.
My mistake.
So first back to fourth. And trouble. 41 cars around. That's Timmy Hill. Looks like he's going to fire it up and keep going. That is in turn 5. That same spot where Patrick got in trouble a second ago.
We'll talk about turn 5 later. There's a lot of action that happens down there. We'll tell you why.
Well, going back to Danica Patrick, it's easier to run behind somebody and be conservative and hit your marks. It's a little different when you're the leader. You got nothing but open space in front of you.
Well, she was pretty proud of herself for taking that lead, and she just got down to the turn 5 too deep, really, guys.
Did a good job of recovering, though.
Yep. Well, you know, part of the conversation around Danica, back to our NASCAR Countdown conversation of respect, and is she getting the respect on the racetrack from the other drivers she deserves? Rusty, you brought up how she's still learning where to be on the racetrack and how to drive these cars. She's only got one road course of experience in a Nationwide Series car. This is just the second one. Leader making a move to pit road. Villeneuve will go out in front. Paludo will head for the pit lane.
Well, I mentioned earlier in the show, a lot of the NASCAR regulars don't know what she's like because she's unpredictable, because they don't have any history on her. But guess what? She's racing against a bunch of guys today that nobody has history on either. So it kind of cancels itself out.
But look at the group she's racing with. Ron Fellows.
Yeah.
She's racing her teammate right there. You got Jacques Villeneuve. You got Nelson Piquet. These are great road racers. That's a great group to be in.
Paludo was the leader, Vince.
First ever Nationwide Series start. He said the adjustments they made on the last stop that helped the car, and he says it's perfect. Don't change it. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for Miguel Paludo. Having a good day today at Road America.
Tommy, wait, no gas. Wait. Go, 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 go.
And for the lead on the right side of the screen as the former leader comes back onto the racetrack. Nelson Piquet Jr. all over Jacques Villeneuve, 2 drivers whose fathers became world famous in Formula One Grand Prix racing.
I find that pretty unique. It really is. You get 2 F1 drivers running 1-2 right now, and they both qualify so well, and they both fly around these road courses in stock cars.
Third place. Fellows outside in the carousel on Danica. Now remember, they're teammates for Dale Jr.'s team here.
That's a great move by Fellows, though. Do that on the outside.
Wow. Ron Fellows to third. Remember, he was leading back at lap 8 when he had a left front tire flat. He lost 45 seconds to the cars he was racing with, then got helped by a caution flag that closed back up. Now he's headed back toward the front of the field. Almost to halfway at Road America. Jacques Villeneuve is the race leader. He's got Nelson Piquet Jr. hot on his back bumper. Well, we had the kids throwing the baseball around. What about kicking the soccer ball around out in the infield? Euro 2012 continues tomorrow on ESPN. Wayne Rooney and England take on Italy in the quarterfinals. It's England-Italy tomorrow, 2:30 on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, ESPN 3, and watch ESPN. How about that? Ask and ye shall be found.
Hey, that's pretty good, too.
But can you get it with the left foot?
Missed it.
Jacques Villeneuve out in front. A lap and a half from halfway here at Road America today. We go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, beginning with Jamie Little in the race leaders pit.
Well, we've seen this story play out with the 22 car leading here at Road America. The last 2 races in a row, he's had issues either leading or running second at the end of the race. The question is, can he finish without drama? The car right now, very good. Now, right behind him was your pole sitter, Nelson Piquet Jr. This is the same car that Reed Sorensen drove to victory lane here 1 year ago. The team's plan right now, they want to pit on lap 32. His car, as well, is good. Mike?
Jamie, Ron Fellows has had his share of adversity today, that's for sure. A flat tire relegated him to deep in the field. He gave up a lot of real estate, but has rallied back. The other thing he's had to overcome, a radio problem. Much of the time when he's on the back stretch, he has a very difficult time hearing his crew chief, Tony Uri Jr. They have not been able to rectify that. He's just racing through it for the time being. Meanwhile, his teammate with Junior Motorsports, that's Danica Patrick, who has taken many cues from Ron Fellows over the last several weeks. The two tested together several weeks ago and have spent quite a bit of time together this weekend going over the ins and outs of this racetrack. Danica just content right now following Ron Fellows. She feels like she has a very strong race car. And the other Junior Motorsports car, that's Cole Witt. Well, he had his adversity in practice, wrecked his primary machine, went to a backup car. I talked to his crew chief, Bruce Cook. He told me it wasn't really a setback when it came to equipment, but it was a setback when it came to this kid's confidence. Was very concerned about that coming into the race. So far, showing no signs of showing any weakness, running very strong inside the top 5. Kurt Busch only had a handful of laps heading into this race at Road America because of his duties out in Sonoma. Well, showing no ill effects of that either. The car was set up by Colin Brown. He has stormed all the way from the back after changing transmissions, working his way to the front, showing he can adapt as quickly as anybody else to this racetrack, Jamie.
Well, Brian Scott, as we've talked about, they're on a little bit different strategy. They're hoping to make this race to the end with one more stop, and that's unlike his competitors around him. After the last stop, he slipped back to 30th, but he's already raced his way up to 7th. Now, Andy Petrie earlier was talking about how good and how confident he's been, and he says it's all Michael McDowell, his teammate this weekend. He's been helping him so much, and it's shown since practice 1. Dave?
Jamie, the last time Max Pappas was on pit road, he got these words of encouragement following his stop.
Get back out front. We're going to stop one more time, and that's it. Get you up front. We'll stay there. Whatever track position we get from here on out for the rest of the race is going to decide the race. Max, save all the gas you can, bud. Save, save, save.
The middle point there from Ernie Cope. All the track position you get will help decide this race. Last lap, he told his driver, go get that 11. We got to get by all these guys and stop one more time to win this race.
Pappas right now running in 8th position. Brad Sweet, Michael McDowell round out your top 10 at this point. We are just across halfway.
Yeah, what he said, what the crew chief for Max Pappas said is they've got about 4 laps on most people with fuel. They got 4 laps more fuel in the tank than other cars around them. Still not sure. We haven't seen the hands played out to see who can get what kind of fuel mileage. But if some of these, if any of these cars can go to about lap 32, 31, 32, then they could probably make it to the end. That's banking on not having any green-white checkers.
Which is not a smart thing to bank on.
Well, but if you have a lot of cautions at the end, you also save that amount of fuel when you run under caution. So either way, it's kind of a gamble, but that's kind of the lap. I think you're going to see pit road be real busy on lap 32.
Michael McDowell led more than most in this race. He's led a couple of times. The strategy calculations going on down in his pit for Matt Lucas.
And I'd like to tell you one thing. When I was driving the car, I put all those gas decisions to the crew chief, because if I try to make those things, it'd make me delirious. It is a very, very tough thing to do. And just imagine how many different strategies these teams have used today. We saw teams pit on lap 1. We see them pit on lap 7. We hear Pop Series, so we got to go to lap 14. Everybody's changed their mind about what they want to do. They've all got an opinion when the right time is to pit.
Well, at the first part of the race, some of these teams decided just to make that pit stop and just make an extra stop in the beginning and counting on a caution to close them up, which we got, and a lot of them did take advantage of that. But then the real test comes at the end. When you make that last stop, what kind of track position you have after you make that stop, that's what you got. I think that's one thing we heard Max Pappas' crew chief say, and he thinks that they're going to have pretty good position by the time they do that.
After 3 difficult weeks, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. needing a positive points day. Mike Kelly called him to pit road at lap 1 to get him out of the mess, if you will. They have pitted again. They pitted at lap 13. Now the question is, how's the strategy going to play out for Stenhouse, and where will he cycle out in the day's events? Kind of Vince playing a road course version of the old Talladega strategy of hang back and wait till the end.
That's exactly right. They want to make sure they're out of the mess after the last 3 weeks that they've had, that's for sure. Ricky Stenhouse, the good news is, though, is that he says that the car is really starting to come to him, says he's gaining on entry and getting better off the turns, but this is not the stretch of the race where they're going to be taking any chances. They're very comfortable with their position right now.
Stenhouse Jr. running in 13th position at the moment. The defending series champ Had a spin on lap 2 here last year. Came back for a top 10 finish, but that is the only top 10 finish he has recorded in a road course race in his Nationwide Series career so far. He could use a nice positive points day, but he's got a long way to go to get one today at Road America. Back live at Road America. Follow at NASCAR ESPN during the race. We'll share some of your thoughts on how you feel the day is going for various people here at Road America. You ever heard of Kendra, Rusty?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, absolutely.
Guess she's watching.
That's good. This is a good thing for her to watch.
There you go. I'll bet that's that is not a unique sentiment.
I tell you, she's pulled away from her teammate Cole Witt and Kurt Busch.
But this car, Jacques Villeneuve, has pulled away from second place by 2.5 seconds now. Remember that Nelson Piquet Jr. was right on his back bumper, working him over for a little bit. He's gapped him now. Ron Fellows trying to track down Piquet in third.
Got 4 or 5 laps before they get into that window where they can make it to the end.
What, these three are in pretty clear traffic. There's nobody around him. I'm watching Ron Fellows. That time by, he was a half a second faster than Jacques Villeneuve. The 5 car of Fellows is flat coming. He's flying right now, guys. He wants to lead this thing. That flat tire got him mad.
Well, he's finished second in this race. Both times it's been run. Winner at Montreal, driving for Junior Motorsports a few years ago. I love this shot. Gets over here on this front stretch. Watch him hammer that gear shift lever.
He's one of the best at it. Watch him downshift here.
Got a slow one up ahead there. Maybe you can use him for a pick.
You get a sense of how long that straightaway is. That straightaway itself is 200 feet longer than the entire track at Bristol.
Oh my gosh. And it is one of the longest straightaways in all of NASCAR. I think it's longer than Pocono. About the same length as the back straight at Montreal, which is very long.
Here's 5th place here. Cole Witt, 88. Kurt Busch, 54. Just behind them, Max Pappas trying to close in. Remember, we heard the radio a little while ago. Ernie Cope telling Max all the track position you can get. Well, he's up to 7th. Here's Pappas with Brian Scott right behind him. He got by Brian. Brian going to try him back.
I'll take a look.
So Dave Pappas up to 7th.
And he tried and tried and tried to get around Brian Scott. Scott driving a very, very good race. When Max came by the start-finish line, he keyed the mic and told his crew, I drove the heck out of it that lap, and that's the moment at which he passed Brian Scott. So he's had to work to get around that 11.
He did, but he's turning some fat and just gave the 11's windshield a dusting. Turning some fast laps. Mad Max. And again, he's up to 7th place. The leader is Jacques Villeneuve. What's their fuel strategy, Jamie?
Well, Jeremy Bowens is the man up here on top of the pit box calling the shots. 2.5 second lead right now. When will you guys pit next?
We've got about 3 to 4 more laps, so we'll make a decision. We're just trying to maintain the pace we have right now to the guys behind us to get us into our fuel window for the end.
You know he never backs off. Are you telling him at all to back off and save you some fuel?
I'm trying, but it's not in the bloodline, so he's pretty well flat out. But we're trying to back him down a little bit, but we'll be fine.
He won 2 times here back in the kart series. He's looking for his first NASCAR win this time, Alan.
And Jeremy Bowen's got his first win as a crew chief when the 22 won the Charlotte race in May with Brad Keselowski behind the wheel. Roger Penske won a race here at Road America as a driver. SCCA 1961. His car's out front with Villeneuve behind the wheel. The ALNL Showdown, presented by State Farm, continues on ESPN and ESPN2. Tomorrow at 8 Eastern on ESPN, the Subway Series on baseball's biggest stage. CC Sabathia going head-to-head against R.A. Dickey when the Yankees visit Citi Field to take on the Mets. Then Monday on ESPN2 as Drupal Cabrera and the Indians head into the Bronx to face Derek Jeter and the Yankees at 7. Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Monday Night Baseball, presented by USAA. Caution out. Got a car in a gravel pit.
Caution out. Caution, caution, caution.
This will be interesting. This is just outside most of the fuel windows. About 2 laps sooner than most would like to pit.
Very fascinating.
Yeah, they see some people try to roll the dice, make a pit stop here, and make it to the end.
Caution for a car reported off course. Follow. There it is. Okay. 75 car. Kenny Hobble has found not just the gravel trap, but the tire barrier. And that is at turn 5, that long downhill run to the hard left-hand corner. That has all the makings of a brake pedal going soft.
You could have used them up. Got down there and they didn't.
Yeah, that was a long way to go.
Work.
Just by missing
Went
the
to the
corner.
floor. I don't know, man. I'm pumping this thing like fucking crazy.
Hobble, a native of Australia.
There was just nothing there.
Now living outside of Charlotte by way of Canada. The last racing he's done was 2006, but has caught the bug again, if you will. Very successful businessman now. Put together a team. He's got technical support from Joe Gibbs Racing and acquitted himself very well thus far this weekend. Obviously having a technical problem right there. So, the caution kind of, I guess I want to say, made the strategy call for a lot of these crew chiefs.
Yeah, it did, and it's just going to make it a little bit tougher. They're going to have to try to save fuel, count on some caution laps now to make it to the end. They wanted to probably run a couple more before they made that last stop. That's why you didn't see anybody on pit road yet. So this will force their hand.
Eric McClure, the free pass under this caution. And here come the leaders to the opening of pit road. Got 26 cars on the lead lap. Not all of them are coming in.
Schnellgauer staying out. A little bit surprising. Always made me nervous when the entire field pits and I'm the only one that stays out. I'm like, did I make the right decision, or am I right? They're all wrong. What's the deal?
All right, Mike.
Ron Fellows in. Tony Uri Sr. telling his team, make sure you get it full of Sunoco race fuel. A 4-tire change expected on the 5 car as we now go to Dave.
Max Pappas will give up the 7th place. He said it was a little bit tight in traffic, so they're talking about making a track bar and air pressure adjustment for tires and fuel. Jamie.
And Jacques Villeneuve, his last pit stop of the day, they'll fill it up, and you see right ahead of him, Nelson Piquet Jr. just barely got his car inside the pit box. 4 tires, they'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel. It's a battle against first and second, who are on the track together. The track is playing out. They fire him up, trying to win the race off pit road, and it's close, guys.
It is car 7.
Nice work. Nice work.
That is some nice work. Great pit stop by the 17.
These guys never cease to amaze me. Danica Patrick beats them all off pit road. And she's pitting in the very first position coming in the pits. And that worked out for her that time. Good pit selection.
Hearing Max Pappas has had some trouble on the 33 car. Watch the fuel can.
Oh, it's a bad time to be having a pit stop mistake. They don't plan to make any more stops now, so this is going to cost them some terrible track position. Gas can hung again. We see that a lot.
Boy.
That's going to be a penalty.
That's terrible luck for Max. It seems like he always has his bad luck when he's running so well. And these guys are sticking these gas cans like crazy. They drop the jack too soon, or else the driver rolls a little bit instead of staying put. Gets them all in trouble. Ruins their entire day.
So not pitting under the caution, Sam Hornish Jr., Justin Allgaier. They have the top 2 spots. Danica Patrick first off the pit lane under the 3rd caution of the race. 18 laps to go at Road America. Green flag in the air. Sam Hornish Jr., yellow car, leads. Orange car, Justin Allgaier, did not pit, as the blue and white car as well. Miguel Paludo in 3rd. Danica Patrick, green 7 car, first off the pit lane. She's 4th. Max Pappas serving a pass-through penalty right now as the field goes back to green for that pit stop problem we showed you a minute ago. It's going to kick him all the way back from 6th to 26th.
As I got to tell you, I do not understand the strategy of Hornish and Allgaier staying out, not pitting.
They just must not be able to make it from there to the end. They're going to just stay out here and try to get some laps in the bank in case we have a green-white checker. That's the only thing that they can hope for, is that the race goes a lot overtime and some of these other cars can't make
Watch it. PK wrestle that 30 car under braking contact there. Villeneuve is around.
Can't say I'm surprised about that.
All right, get it going. Get it going.
And turn 5 will suck you right down in there. And a lot of problems in there. And as the race goes on, turn 6 gets worse. That was big right there for Villeneuve. I mean, he could definitely win that race, but being this far back, I don't know.
It's not the last one we're going to see.
That's true.
We're beyond the last pit stop for most everybody. And the intensity builds.
Well, I remember this point last year, we were all, well, at least I was, predicting what was going to happen, and I was totally wrong by what was happening then.
TJ Bell, gravel trap. That should bring out a caution.
Yeah, he'll be stuck there. He can't get out of that.
It hasn't yet. Yep, now it has. Caution's out. That is the carousel.
Now that was key caution flag right there. I mean, these guys need a little extra help to make it to the end. Little insurance for the green-white checker in case we get it again this year. That's just what they needed. Although that's not going to help Hornish.
No, he still has to make another stop. So does Allgaier. And Miguel Paludo, he'll have to make another stop.
I'm looking to see as these cars come back to the caution where Villeneuve ended up after his spin. Because when he got the car righted around, it took him a bit to get it going again.
It shows in 15th on the scoring monitor. We'll see how it shakes out once they catch up.
Yeah, 16th for the 22 car, Andy. So what's Chad Walter thinking for strategy there for Sam Hornish? Check that. How about 22nd for the 22 car as things cycle around as they come to the start-finish line. 4th caution out at Road America in the Sargento 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Caution for TJ Bell being stuck in a gravel trap over at the carousel corner. More interesting to follow up on. Respect to TJ. This charging down into turn 5 a minute ago. Michael McDowell and Jacques Villeneuve and Danica Patrick.
Still there. Clear, clear, clear.
We are at the Sargento 200 at Road America, reminding you to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Down to the final 1/4 of this race very shortly, and watching pit strategy among the top two, let's say 3 of the top 4. Hornish, Paludo, and Allgaier, particularly with our attention here.
Here comes Hornish and looks like Paludo.
Yep, Allgaier staying out.
It's a mystery to me, I'll tell you that, guys. I don't see any way in the world they're going to finish in the top 5 or even have a shot at winning this race. By pitting now and Algar staying out, when the rest of these guys pretty well think they can make it in Gal.
Well, their biggest gamble would be if they're counting on 3 green-white checkers like we had last year, and some of the other cars may be running out of fuel.
Well, that's a good point, because Algar did get burned last year.
Go ahead, Vince.
Miguel Paludo, it's been a strong run in the Turner Motorsports car today. Says it needs to be a little more snug on the right-handers. They got it a little too free last time. It's a 4-tire change for Miguel Paludo. Jamie?
Sam Hornish Jr.'s second ever road course race in the Nationwide Series. He says the car is pretty good. They're going to put 4 tires on, fill it as full as possible. Remember that for green light checker, Vince.
Interesting that the 22 of Villeneuve has pitted. Max Pappas has pitted as well. A couple of cars that have been very strong up the front of the pack and have suffered some misfortune.
I can promise you one thing. You want to see somebody coming through the pack in a hurry? You watch Jacques Villeneuve. He's going to be driving like a madman coming through that pack.
Well, that was a good move to go ahead and make that stop. They wouldn't have done that had they kept their track position. But since they lost it all,
save as much as you can.
Might as well just try to go out there and get as much gas as you can. Hopefully, they're hoping again for those extra laps maybe at the end of the race.
Remind you again that last year this race was the first and only in the green-white checker overtime era of NASCAR to use all 3 attempts at a green-white checker finish. Nobody would be surprised if it happened again today.
Went 28 miles overtime last year.
Yes, sir. The intensity builds. PK Jr. back out in front. Wrapping up the 4th caution in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Road America. Kenny Hobble got the free pass onto the caution. Lead lap, there are 27 cars ready to go. 15 laps to the checkered flag. New leader, Nelson Piquet Jr. carrying the colors of his native Brazil. The green and yellow stripes on that 30 car. Left of your screen, Justin Allgaier, who had his heart broken here last year, is alongside him. 15 laps to go. That's a long way to go on a 4-mile racetrack.
Green flag.
McDowell to the inside of Allgaier. Michael McDowell to second. Kurt Busch trying to gain some ground. Driver's right in that 54 car. Remember, he started all the way at the back. Here comes Ron Fellows in the blue 5.
This turn 5 is where they've been having all the problems all day long. And Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch does.
Three wide.
Well, what a good recovery, though.
Nice job by Ron Fellows to get out of that tight spot.
It's such a slow corner, guys, but you can get off the corner, get off the track so easy there. Those rumble strips and the slick racetrack creates that problem almost every single lap if you overcharge it just a little bit.
99 is Victor Gonzalez Jr. You're riding with Elliott Sadler.
Elliott really got a good bite off that turn 8 to get in front of Cole Witt. Heading into a fast right-hander, the carousel we call it. Good move by Elliott to take that position.
Just a quick update. Sam Hornish, who was the race leader coming to the caution, restarted in 18th.
But look
for
at the run. Look at the run McDowell gets on the straightaway.
Patrick for third. On Allgaier. Now, earlier in the race, we saw these two, 30 and 18, racing for the lead. Same situation. Piquet Jr. had it. McDowell wanted it. Eventually, McDonald got by him and left him.
basically all these leaders right now, except for Justin Allgaier, have got to figure out how to not drive so hard and save a little bit of fuel to get these things to the end.
That's 4th place for Kurt Busch.
Run Fellows there.
Yep. Inside of Allgaier.
Allgaier's got a lot more laps on his tires than these cars around him also. He's probably going to make a pit stop in the next lap or two.
Hey, Andy, that's a good point with the wearing the tires. A lot of times you're out there amongst these guys that have got good tires, and you got old tires, you get yourself wrecked by just being a little bit too slow and getting in the way.
Or having
no brakes.
Yep.
Wheel hop, something.
Yeah, that was
not going to get the chance to pit without getting towed out of the gravel trap.
Big mistake.
That wasn't on purpose, though. I think he just had a problem with the brakes.
That was way early, him getting off course.
Yellow flag.
Looked a little bit like the 75 car we saw earlier that went flying off the course in turn 5.
Which tires did it lock up?
My front was locked up.
He is marred up.
Yeah, gravel traps obviously there for safety to help slow the car when it gets in an out of control situation before collecting the barriers. Did its job, but at the same time it collected the car and held it there, and Justin Allgaier is going to need a tow out, and he'll be lucky to not lose a lap before they get him pulled out of there. But any other road course you would, this being 4 miles around, you might get out of there before the pace car brings the field around.
Yeah, they're getting him hooked up pretty quick.
I mean, this. Let's take a look at the replay here and see what actually happened to Justin Allgaier getting down into turn 5.
Just started locking. It looks like maybe the left front. Like he could have actually had maybe his foot on the throttle a little bit, carrying a little throttle in there.
It's a big shot to the left front of that 54 car too.
Yeah, they're definitely off the throttle. Just had that wheel locked
Coming
up.
to reckon in 5. Tracks clear. Still out.
That's got to be a terrible feeling.
No kidding. Especially for all the guys around him. How about Kurt Busch did a great job not to get actually collected up in that.
Well, I'll tell you, you're right, he did, but he looks like he's got some pretty good left front fender damage on the 54 car. I don't know if that's really going to affect the way that car handles or not, because he got hit pretty hard, like you said, Alan, by Justin Allgaier.
Allgaier's out of the gravel trap, but he's got some damage. And hopefully, well, that's what we just saw was what I was about to say, Andy. Hopefully, he doesn't spread a bunch of gravel around the track coming back around.
Yeah, he's probably got just enough fuel to get back to pit road too. Looks like Kurt Busch is going to make a pit stop to fix that damage, Rusty.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at this left front fender. You can tell it got tore pretty big. I mean, he got hit awful hard. But these cars are pretty tough. Looks like the splitter's intact, Andy.
Yeah, but he's got what will be a tire rub if he doesn't fix it now.
Yeah, the top, about the 1 o'clock position, that fender's in pretty hard. Above that Goodyear decal. They got to get that cleared out.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, they're going to go to work on that left front fender. They Kurt radioed in saying it knocked the toe out as well. So it's more than a tire rub. This team was planning to come, however, because in the last pit stop, they did not get the car full of fuel, so they were going to be 3 laps short anyway. Mike Beam was thinking the strategy was to fill it up and hope for a green-white checker and outlast everybody on fuel. Again, that's perhaps the only chance they've got now.
And they still have some work to do. If they've got that toe end knocked out, they're going to have to adjust that.
Right side with the tow bars. Get the tow bars now.
Yeah, you're right, Andy. Hear that? Get the tow bars. Just check it out, because
got plenty of time. It takes a long time for the field to get around and put them down a lap. They can do a lot of work on this car in the meantime.
And that's a direct giveaway. All the driver's got to do is say the wheel position is not where it was before. It's maybe moved to the left or it's moved to the right. And then they know they got a problem. But the one thing they do know, it's the left front wheel.
Yeah, they know exactly which one to adjust if they find a problem here. So
that's a thumbs up there from the left front.
That's good. Fuel again. Get the fuel before he leaves.
got a lot of time, so it's worth taking the time to get the car patched up all they possibly can.
And Allgaier makes it back in. Dave?
Yeah, bizarre race for Justin Allgaier right now. A water bottle earlier today got under his pedals, and then it was under the seat, and that's why they couldn't find it, why it took so long on pit road. And now this damage. It's the second time he's been off the track this weekend. During the first practice, he was off in the kink, the speedy part of the track. Didn't have any real damage, but here, the track position is the biggest damage of all. He was going to have that happen anyway. They were planning on pitting the next lap, guys, ironically.
Well, he was running in 6th position, Dave. Now he's all the way back in 28th as Road America continues to break Justin Allgaier's heart. Now 3 races here at this road course, and 3 times he's had problems. This was early in the race a couple of years ago. Allgaier across those rumble strips, exiting turn 5, and tore the sway bar out of the back end of his car. And then last year, leading under the caution flag, coming to the checkered flag, and runs out of gas.
Just about that much.
Now this year, racing for a spot in the top 10. Has the problem with the water bottle getting underneath his pedals, and then this a moment ago. Allgaier the cause of the 5th caution flag today in the Sargento 200. Lined up for the restart. There'll be 12 laps to go at Road America. Nelson Piquet Jr., Michael McDowell side by side on the front row. 28 cars on the lead lap. Kurt Busch is 28th. Justin Allgaier 27th after being involved in the incident that brought out the caution.
Green.
Not a good restart for McDowell.
That was a great restart for Danica Patrick, though. She was ready to go when that green came out.
Up to 2nd. Ron Fellows inside of McDowell for 3rd. And I'll give you somebody to watch. That yellow 12 car. Sam Hornish Jr. continues to pick his way through the traffic after leading this race a couple of cautions ago and getting shuffled back in the cycle of pit stops.
Well, he's going to have to, Alan, because, I mean, that field strategy was questionable.
Look out. Gonzalez and Brian Scott. Hornish getting run wide in the jam. Elliott Sadler gets spun.
The point leader.
We are tore up, guys. We are tore up.
Unbelievable. The point leader, like you said, the left front, looks like a splitter damage on the right front also.
Yep, down on the ground.
Yeah, he's got damage.
May have been off the nose of the 22 car. May have been. Want to wait to see the replay there. Patrick shuffled. Fellows through. Fighting off Michael McDowell for 3rd.
Tell the intensity levels coming way up right now as these laps wind down with just 12 laps to go.
That's still a long time. A lot of racing left to go. But you're right, Rusty. The intensity level has come up.
What happened to Elliott Sadler in turn 5? Right side of the screen.
Oh, foul move.
Yeah, you know what, though?
Yeah, they were all racing for that spot, but it was contact with the 22.
With that jam up on the right side of him, I think Sadler's trying to move left, and 22 is there.
I definitely got to call that one a racing incident. But I'll tell you another thing I'm going to say, guys. The brakes on these cars are starting to really get wore right now. The efficiency is not there. We're late in the race. And turn 5 is the most critical corner for the brakes. Even more important than turn 1.
Outside.
Yeah, hard to pin that one on Jacques.
No, I mean, it was just hard racing, but everybody's going for that spot.
Man, what's really bad on Elliott Sadler's, we're still green flag. Way behind right now with damage.
This 3rd place, you're on board Michael McDowell in 4th. He was 2nd on the restart. Now he's got ground to make up. Downhill turn 5.
Bumper, stop bumper, still there, 18. A little bit loose, still there, right there with him. Got road behind him, clear about 5 behind him.
So McDowell through.
Alan, I'll tell you what, if this race is about to end right now, Austin Dillon just took over the point lead from Elliott Sadler by 1 point. Look at that.
And Austin Dillon was reported to have a transmission problem earlier in the race, so he probably still has it. Here comes Max Pappas making a move on Danica. Or trying to.
Yeah, Max is up in that 5th position right now. I want to get back to the brake efficiency just a little bit. On these road courses, it's so hard on the brakes. These drivers can't drive down the corner as deep as they used to with confidence, or else they'll get involved in that wheel hop or lock up that left front tire like Justin Allgaier did, Andy. And as a driver, you start pushing that brake pedal down, it's like you're pushing on rubber. It's not hard. It doesn't stop. It just glides. It's terrible late in the race.
They've used probably half of the pad that's there. The rotors get totally saturated with heat. Everything happens. These rotors, when they wear, they don't wear evenly, too, so that you get some of that going on. So like you said, Rusty, you lose a fair percentage of braking power later in the race.
And this is one of the toughest tracks for brakes. See Max Pappas getting alongside Danica Patrick. Drag racer down this long front straightaway into turn 1 now.
Attaboy, get it on in there.
This is 4th place. And using every bit of pavement. Just behind them, Brian Scott in the 11, running in 6th. Jacques Villeneuve running in 7th. Cole Witt, solid, steady day in 8th. And there's Hornish now back in 9th after getting knocked around there in that jam in turn 5 that Elliott Sadler got the worst of. By the way, Sadler is all the way back in 25th place. Whoa! Hang on.
Out of brakes.
A little too much.
Low on brakes.
Teammates now.
This could get testy. This could get testy. Captain be holding his breath on that one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if I remember, it's your teammate. Don't rough them up. You boys calm down. You men calm down.
Roger Penske owning both of those cars. So, Nelson Piquet Jr. leading. He's got a decent-sized gap on Ron Fellows. Michael McDowell, Max Pappas, Danica Patrick, the top 5. Still 10 long laps to go. 8 laps to go. Road America looking at Brad Sweet's 38 car because he just used all of his dirt track sprint car background to get out of a gravel trap in turn number 12 and keep this race under green.
It's one of the few cars today we've seen get in trouble and be able to get out of it. That's Jason Bowles, looks like, goes off first.
Yep.
And then in that dust, you see, look at Brad Sweet get this thing going. You're right, Alan. He used all of his dirt track experience to get this done.
Not often you get into one of these gravel traps and you get back out, drive it back out anyway, but Brad Sweet did. We stay under green. He was 13th at the time. There's your leader, Nelson Piquet Jr. There's the gap to 2nd place. Now Michael McDowell ahead of the 5 of Ron Fellows. Max Pappas running in 4th and Danica Patrick in 5th. That change for 2nd place between McDowell and Fellows, turn 5.
He's a little better than you. He's coming. He's in there.
You see, we talked earlier about the brakes. And Ron just can't drive that car down the corner as deep as he was earlier. 18's got better brakes than his car right now. It's just that simple.
Ron has lost a second to the leader in each of the last couple of laps. Expecting another yellow, according to history. Recent NASCAR Nationwide Series road course events.
Alan, I'll tell you what, it's pretty impressive to see Nelson Piquet Jr. out there in one of these Nationwide cars at a track that's really tough on brakes, leading this baby It looks like he's leading it with ease, too. I'm watching his lap times. He's either first or second quick almost every single lap.
Sam Hornish Jr. antsy to get a spot there on Cole Witt. Brian Scott's got some damage.
Got a tire mark down the left side. Danica Patrick, though, she's
bent in too.
She's keeping up with Max. Max passed her for that spot, but she's staying right with him. Actually looking inside. She's going to get this spot back.
It's fourth place.
Remember earlier in the race, she said she was saving brakes and saving fuel. It's paying off for her right now.
You know, she's pretty
Here
disciplined.
comes Jacques.
Real disciplined young lady with her car. She takes care of her equipment.
Cole Witt shuffled back 2 spots in this lap. Hornish and Villeneuve getting by him. They have had, well, let's watch this for just a second. Pappas looking inside of Danica. She gives him room.
Oh, Danica out in the rumble strips, loses all that traction. Max out drag races her up the hill.
So Pappas back to 4th place.
It's a good battle for 4th. Brian Scott's going to get involved here.
See how much that left front?
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage down that left side.
Caved in behind the wheel. Out of the carousel, down through the fast left-hand kink. Alex Kennedy is around. That's turn 7. And that's a tough spot.
It's kind of a blind corner. He's waiting for all these cars to pass and get back to racing.
Hopefully he's able to find a hole in the traffic and spin her back around. There it is, first to second.
That's the gap. We saw the 18 car, though, make up some ground. He's been the fastest car about the last 3 laps on the track.
6 laps to go for Nelson Piquet Jr., Jamie.
So far, it has been a dream day and a dream weekend for Nelson. He told me this is the only scheduled race. He's looking forward to perhaps doing Watkins Glen and Bristol and wants to be here full-time next year, but he said it had a lot to do with his performance today, and I think he's saying a lot. Right now, though, they are saving fuel. They have enough to make it to the end, but not for a green-white checker. Vince?
Well, and the team is telling Michael McDowell, you are indeed faster than the leader. Continue to hit your marks. Don't overdrive the car. Continually updating on his lap times and how they are in relation to the leading car. So far, McDowell pushing the leader. Mike?
Talking to Ron Fellows at the beginning of the weekend, asking him what was on his mind, he said, I'm tired of finishing second here. That's been the case the past couple of years. He also told me the one thing he learned a year ago is to save his tires for the end. He needs forward grip. That's what he's been doing over the last several laps. He wants to have something if this comes down to a final restart, Dave.
And Max Pappas, on this restart, he was 11th all the way up to the 4th position. The restart before that, 24th. He's driven the car very hard. That may account for the fact that he cannot outbrake the 7 car, but he's really made a comeback from earlier problems. Mike?
Dave, we talked about the story about Danica getting a lack of respect. That's what Tony Eury Jr. had said a week ago. Well, Tony Eury opened up a little bit about that this week, saying, look, drivers tend to use her up. They lean on her. They know that she's not going to fight back. He's been trying to get her to be more aggressive and not let up. It seems as though that talk has paid off today. She has not given up an inch of ground on this racetrack now.
Running in 5th position. Being chased by Brian Scott in these final laps at Road America. Will we see another yellow flag? Will it come down to a green-white checker finish? Right now, Piquet Jr. has a 3.6-second lead on Michael McDowell.
Yeah, and since I said that McDowell had made up some ground the last couple of laps, now PK has had the fastest lap on the track.
30 behind you. You can start backing down just a little bit. Save a little fuel.
And that might be what's going on there. He might just be backing it down just to save fuel. No reason to try to stretch the lead out.
Well, I tell you what, he knows he's got such a big lead right now. Victory is right in front of him, and he can do just what he wants to save that fuel. He can short shift instead of going from second to third. On a shift, he can go from second to fourth. He can get out of the throttle a little bit early. Everything he possibly can to save fuel. And you heard his crew chief saying that. I used to hear you say that, believe it or not. Some of those old radio transmissions I listen to, you tell Earnhardt, hey, slow down, save some gas.
That's hard to get him to do that.
Did it somehow.
We saw Ron Fellows get passed by Michael McDowell for second a little bit ago and might have a little better idea now of what was going on.
Having trouble getting into third gear. Copy. Nice and easy. Don't rush the shift.
Ron said he was having trouble getting into third gear.
Okay, there's second. Let's see how this shift goes. The second to third shift, I think, is what he's talking about. You carry second gear all the way through the carousel.
That's in there that time.
It only takes once. That downshift there into turn 5 when he lost that spot to McDowell, maybe that was it. So Fellows 6.7 seconds behind PK Jr. and well behind McDowell running in second also. Stories on the day, the championship. How would this race affect the NASCAR Nationwide Series standings? Elliott Sadler spun around a little while ago. You see he's all the way back in 18th, Jamie.
And he did get some damage on that car, but so far it seems like he avoided disaster. He has moved his way forward slowly. They haven't seen any sign of a rub, so they've kept him out. They never brought him into pit after that damage. And now he still leads the points by 6 over his teammate Austin Dillon, who's 2 positions back. And for that, we go to Dave.
Jamie, the goal was clear for Austin Dillon. Just run a clean race today. They practiced at Virginia International Raceway, Kershaw, South Carolina, to try to get him ready for all this, and then the transmission problems. Third gear has not been there since early in the race. His admonition from crew chief Danny Stockman, that's what we've been given. We just have to try to make it around to the end. The one really good thing was they didn't have to pit again for fuel, because missing that third gear, he's getting excellent fuel mileage.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. running in 11th position right now, having had a clean race thus far.
Yeah, that's what he needed. We talked about that in the pre-race, that what he needed was just if he got a top 10 or even top 15 finish, it'd probably be a good move for him. And with the troubles with Elliott Sadler, he could actually gain some points here.
So, Andy, I have to say pretty soon now, this is going to be nervous time for fuel mileage for these guys, because not many of them have been able to back off much except for this leader.
Had 4 caution laps since they made that pit stop. It's going to give them a little bit of cushion.
So they give them about 2 extra laps?
Yeah, at the outside. They can probably get a 2-to-1 under caution.
Well, but they weren't worried about making the finish. They were worried about making the green-white checker extras, potentially, right?
Well, it's going to be, it'd still be difficult. They were going to have to run 18 laps to the finish. That's what they were waiting on. They had to pit with 20 to go. They've kind of gotten that back. I'm sure they were gambling on hope, or at least hoping to have some more caution laps. And there's still a chance for it. 4 laps, still a long way to race around here.
Yes. There are the last pit stops.
Yeah, it was actually 19 laps to go when they made that pit stop.
See, Max Pappas looking the best so far. Got 3 more laps of fuel in his tank than the rest of them.
And this the race involving Pappas and Patrick and Brian Scott and Cornish and Villeneuve. 4th place on back.
It looks like Max might be holding this group up a little bit. You see all of those cars kind of bunch up.
30 car, Jamie. Good to the checkers on fuel or still concerned?
Well, it wasn't too long ago. Trent Owens told me that you guys were good only to the end. He doesn't seem to be backing down. Are you guys good for security if we do have a green-white checker?
Yeah, we're trying to monitor how close second place is getting to us. Trying to back our lap times up a little bit. Our fuel window's showing that we can go to 50 and a half, 51, so it's going to be close. No green-white checkers, so we want to see that white flag here pretty quick.
All right, they still need to save some fuel, but remember, Alan, this crew chief did it last year with this exact same chassis. They went to victory lane with Reed Sorensen.
Oh, a little awkward around that corner, Jamie.
Hey, how about that? Yeah, Reed Sorensen, the same car last year, same crew chief, wins. Now they got the car in position to win again.
Fellows closing on McDowell for second.
Now, I guess one thing I would remind you is Reed Sorensen had a pretty good race last year. The fuel mileage worked out for him, but Nelson Piquet Jr. has been flat flying in his car all day long, grabbing the pole, dominating his portions of these races.
He's led the most laps of anybody today, 16.
Got one car that is slow on the course. Right there, 26 car. John Young being asked by NASCAR to pull off the course at some of the turnouts.
Let's have to see if he listens
and
to it
keep
or not.
from causing a caution.
Can you pull off on the cutoff down between 3 and 5?
I'm trying to make it there. I'm coasting down the hill. I think I can get it.
Wow.
Now, he's one of the cars that pitted at lap 31.
Oh, this could really change everything. If he brings this caution out, this could be a real mess if this happens. This could be Nelson Piquet Jr.'s worst nightmare.
If there's going to be a caution, it's going to have to happen soon, because when the leader comes back, the white flag is going to wave. Down in turn one, that fight for fourth is heating up as Piquet Jr. winds his way around ahead of it.
Yeah, they got to get the white flag right now. You're exactly right. You know, the crew chiefs are telling them. Looks like he pulled off a little bit right there.
Now he's going to make it. We're going to stay under green, or if there's a caution, it won't be for him. Second place, McDowell. Fellows, 18 and 5.
Keep after him, man. Keep after him.
As it gets physical in that race for fourth, Patrick and Pappas trading some sheet metal. Brian Scott and Villeneuve closing in.
Patrick's all over the back of Max Pappas. She's getting mad at him. Those guys are, and ladies, are roughing each other up on that one.
Whoa. Brian Scott looking inside. Andy, I'll go back to your statement earlier. As bunched up as this group is, obviously Max is not the fastest car of them. Brian Scott going to get shuffled.
Well, Max is definitely holding up Danica that right now, that's for sure. She's doing a good job showing patience instead of just taking them out. But that rough turn 5 is coming up, I've talked about.
Well, in this position, you don't want to give away a good finish by doing something that's not smart.
Yeah, this is by getting mad.
That's it. But she tried it here.
She wants a spot.
No.
Right now, I think a good offense would be their best defense, because if you look back behind, you've got Jacques Villeneuve back there wanting her spot.
Now remember, this is fourth place on back. Front three ahead of them are coming to the white flag. There'll be no green-white checker this year. Final lap is underway at Road America.
Easy, easy, easy.
Nelson Piquet Jr.
One thing he has to worry about right now is if he has enough fuel, all he has to do is just maintain this gap.
Don't wheel hop it.
Got plenty of lead. He's got almost 3.5 seconds.
Oh, Danica,
there goes Patrick.
Patrick is through Pappas. Max isn't done there yet, it doesn't look like. Okay, he might have forced a mistake there. Danica's offline. Pappas and Villeneuve coming back while we watch Piquet Jr. through the tricky turn number 5.
Oh boy, I smell disaster here.
Look out!
Wow.
Oh, he takes her out.
Come on.
Unbelievable.
Into the gravel trap.
Unbelievable.
That's it.
Villeneuve.
Michael Annette also down there.
There you go. Keep it going.
She's going to get out of the gravel trap.
Last bit of the race. Villeneuve sails down in there.
22 just booted us out of the way there, and 5 come.
All right. Well, here's Nelson Piquet Jr. winding his way down toward the backside of the course. Through that tricky kink and headed down for the final time toward Canada Corner.
Alan, you could just tell something was going to happen at turn 5. They got so tight. But what about this guy right here, Nelson Piquet Jr.?
Longfellow is not going to be able to do anything with McDowell for second right there, although he took a look. Third start in a NASCAR Nationwide Series car for Nelson Piquet Jr., the son of the former Formula One champion, making a transition from his own Formula One career to NASCAR racing. Comes over from NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series and is going to be the first one to the checkered flag at Road America. Nelson Piquet Jr. wins in Wisconsin. Second place, McDowell holds off on Fellows.
Great job, hell yeah. Great job, Nelson.
And the fight for fourth place. Pappas will get fourth. Hornish will get fifth. Villeneuve will get sixth.
Much. Thank you. Nice job, buddy. Proud of you. Proud of you.
There have been 2 first-time winners in the NASCAR Nationwide Series this season. They've both driven car number 30 for Turner Motorsports to victory lane. James Buescher at Daytona, and today Nelson Piquet Jr. here at Road America. Another win for Trent Owens, Jamie.
And the Brazilian flags are flying behind us. Trent Owens does it again, second year in a row. His first time racing here, only third nationwide start. What did it take for you guys to get the car and him this good?
Well, we did a test and we knew how great a road racer he was, but I never realized he was that good. He's probably the best I've ever worked for. So, man, this is an awesome win. To win it outright, to beat some of the best in the business at road racing, it's a good feeling, man. 2 in a row. Kind of like this place right now.
This was his only scheduled race. Do you think we're going to see you guys back together again this year?
Yeah, we're going to do the Watkins Glen race, so I don't know if we can top this, but we're going to try.
All right, we will see him back once again. Alan?
That's Chris Carrier, his crew chief on the Truck Series, holding up a Green Bay sticker. Big Green Bay Packers fan.
Well, off to victory lane for Turner Motorsports and Nelson Piquet Jr., who in his first start in the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Road America scores the victory, joining that list of drivers born outside of the United States to win in all-American stock car racing. Join us. Not only did he win the race, he did a burnout in spectacular fashion a moment ago along the front stretch here at Road America. Nelson Piquet Jr. lighting him up, celebrating his first NASCAR Nationwide Series win. All right, while Piquet makes his way into victory lane, we follow up on some of the excitement in the final laps of the race. Danica Patrick showing in 12th position after this race for 4th spot. Went a little wrong in turn 5.
She made the pass on Max Pappas in the 33. And right here, she gets punted out of the 22.
I don't know what else to say about that one. Looks like he just got in real hot and just took her out. I know that's a tough corner. Real hot.
Yep.
Out there,
Yeah,
still
there it
out
was.
there, still out there.
Well, he wheel hopped it, Andy.
Yeah, he still punted her.
Still punted her. Wheel hopped down there. Got so hot he wheel hopped it. Couldn't control his car. Drove through her.
Tony Uri Jr., Danica's crew chief afterwards. All right, so while those post-race conversations continue, let's hear from the race winner, Nelson Piquet Jr.
Nelson Piquet taking a bath in the victory celebration, wrapping himself in the Brazilian flag. A huge victory, not only for you, but for your home country. What's this like for you right now?
It's difficult to say the right words. I mean, I knew I could do it. It was just a matter of being with the right team and with the right people, the right organization, and I'm so happy to bring this first Brazilian win nationwide. K&N. We're still missing the truck one, but it will come soon. There's only the road course, our oval will come very soon. So thank you, everybody. Wish my family could be here. A kiss to my mother, to my father, to everybody. Miss you all.
That was a dominant performance you put on today. How were you able to make it look so smooth?
Struggled a little bit in the beginning. And obviously when I got some clean air after, I just took control, opened a little gap in the last restart and just maintained it, and the car was great. Just had to be careful not to do any silly mistakes and just kept it up clean. The car is great, the team is great, I have nothing to complain.
Congratulations on a huge victory for you.
Thank you.
Nelson Piquet in victory lane is first in the Nationwide Series, Alan.
Celebrating proudly for his home country and himself. And I think it's about to get a little bit soggy down there.
I think our camera got a little of that.
Got a lot soggy, I believe. Hey, congratulations to the whole Turner Motorsports organization too, right? Another win for them. Terrific job. Made the decision to enter this driver and this car in this race.
Yeah, great job. Trent Owens, the crew chief, he always does a fantastic job.
So, more follow-ups now from pit lane. In the aftermath of the race, the accident or the incident, competing for fourth spot down into turn number 5. Curious how much maybe dirt picked up on those left side tires might have contributed to the wheel hop we saw.
Still punter.
Understand.
Yeah, you know, those kind of things there, it's just aggressiveness. They're trying to go for that spot. I understand that, but too bad for Danica. Had a great run going.
Now Vince Welch caught up with Villeneuve afterwards.
What happened there with Danica, and what was the issue with Tony Jr.?
Well, we had nothing to do together. It was when I was behind Danica and Papis was on the outside. Maybe he didn't know I was there, but down the straight he pushed me in the grass, just where we hit the brakes. So when I jumped in the brakes, I was in the grass because of that. I was already next to him, so I have no idea. Couldn't slow down because of that.
And Tony Jr.'s comments about the contact?
Oh, you know, it's just about the fact that it was a contact and I was involved, but it had nothing to do with me, so I really don't care.
All right, so that Jacques Villeneuve's thoughts a minute ago.
Right there with you. They're right there with you, 22 here on the bottom. Hold on.
Well, Danica came back to finish 12th, Jamie.
Well, Jacques Villeneuve, I know Danica couldn't hear that, but he said that had nothing to do with me, so I really don't care. Danica, what's your perspective on that last lap?
I just saw it right there on the screen for the first time, and look, I'm going to start off with a positive. I ran top 5 all day. I took the lead for a brief moment until I learned my lesson down into turn 5 when you try and get a little bit more out of the brake zone. So that's the bummer, is that we weren't able to finish that off and finish off with the top 5 like I feel like we all deserved. The guys did a great job in the pits. I mean, they were awesome, and Tony Jr. gave me a good car. And it just would have been good to get a good result. People sort of say I don't get good results, but today I ran well, and we just can't. I feel like lately we've been running much better, but we just haven't sort of finished the deal and gotten the results. So, you know, I don't know. Y'all can make a decision for yourself what you think happened there.
Well, Danica, you know, your crew chief last week talked about the lack of respect, but you said you're running better, so you're running with different competitors, and you have to earn their respect. Today you did that. How did you feel for most of the race until the end? Obviously, they were racing against you and you against them.
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty decent. I felt like everybody kept their nose pretty clean. I feel like there at the end with Max, I passed him a couple of times, and we'd just get down into 5 every single time, and he would just kind of dive bomb it and move me out of the way a little bit, and I felt like, man, we just never have a chance to get away from the group behind us to race it out. And I mean, I felt like I was faster than him, and it would have been nice to just run that out for a lap or two and see where we ended up and fight it out at the end. But you know, when you lose a bunch of time down in 5 while you're shaking it out and trying to figure out who's ahead of who, you know, the group behind you catches you. So I felt like you know, typical of road course racing and stock cars, you know, when it gets to the end, you got bumpers and you get a little excited to use them and make your way towards the front. But I had fun today. I just wish I could have got a top 5. That would have been nice.
Well, Tony Eury Jr. wanted you to use more of that bumper, and today she did. It's a day to be proud of for Danica Patrick. She brings it home 12th.
Can't disagree with that, Jamie. She ran up front all day.
Tell you what, that was an incredible interview. Very humble. Wish I could do that. Could have done that.
Well, no need for Nelson Piquet Jr. to be humble today. I'm trying to make that a smooth segue.
That's pretty good.
Celebrating in Road America's victory lane, a NASCAR Nationwide Series win.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Road America is brought to you by Peak Performance Electronics. Inside, outside, all around your car. When you peak, you win. And Red Lobster. It's back. Red Lobster's 4-course seafood feast. Get soup, salad, biscuits, entree, and dessert for only $14.99.
A lot more people to hear from here at Road America after Nelson Piquet Jr.'s victory today. Piquet celebrating with that Harley-Davidson designed trophy in victory lane. Vince Welch is out on the pit lane with the second-place finisher.
Michael McDowell dominated this race a year ago, didn't get what he wanted, and had another strong run today, come home second. What was the difference between first and second from your cars today?
Well, our Pizza Ranch Toyota Camry was pretty fast all day long. We just got a little bit off sequence with our strategy there. The cautions didn't fall just right, and there at the end, we just didn't have the track position. We're able to get through the field, but I used up my tires quite a bit getting there, and didn't have enough for Nelson, you know, at the end. But I love running the Nationwide Insurance Series. Thank Joe Gibbs Racing and Pizza Ranch and Coca-Cola and Toyota for giving me the opportunity. It's cool to finish off a race with a strong car and a strong finish. You know, we want to be in that top spot, but we'll have a lot more races to try to get there. And you know, thank the good Lord above. I mean, it's tough to come away with a finish at these races. You can see so much chaos on those restarts. So just thankful to get in front of the carnage. I want to wish my brother a happy birthday too. I told him I would from victory lane. We were one spot short, but happy birthday. And you know, we just keep plugging along, and we'll go to Montreal and Iowa and try to get a victory.
Second place. Nice job. Dave?
7th place for Brian Scott today, but he ran much better than that and held off a bunch of people. And he was before all that drama we saw there at the end. You had your own kind of drama going on out there, Brian.
Yeah, everybody starts kind of pushing and shoving towards the end of the race, and I decided to kind of just err on the side of caution, let him go. Figured I'd get a couple spots when people hit other people, and it played out. We had a great 7th place finish for our Dollar General Toyota Joe Gibbs Racing team. I got to remind everybody, because this is something really cool that Dollar General does. When I finished in the top 10, Monday, if you go to dollargeneral.com, you get 10% off. It's a really neat thing, and you know, of course, I got to thank Nationwide Insurance for just putting on this series, and Road America and Sargento and everybody that sponsored the event here. I love coming here. This area just continues to grow on me. I just love it so much coming here. So grateful to have the opportunity that I do, and just got to thank my guys for a good finish. Everybody at the shop, everybody in the front office, everybody. It was just a good day.
Well-driven race by Brian Scott today. Hey, and a heck of a deal at Dollar General, too.
There you go. Top 10, 7th place for Brian Scott. Win a race here at Road America. Take home some fine Milwaukee iron.
That's a nice trophy, right? You see Willie G. Davidson right there to the right with the gray hat. Yep. Chief designer for Harley.
And that is now in the possession of Nelson Piquet Jr. That's part of the winner's haul here at the race. I'll look at the final results from today at Road America.
Incredible finish from Nelson Piquet. I look at Jacques Villeneuve, 6 down there.
Yeah, how about
Kurt Busch, dead last up to 8th.
And Justin Allgaier made a nice recovery after being in the rocks.
Lots more people to talk to as we continue our post-race coverage from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Don't go away. Fine. Back live Road America following today's 200-mile NASCAR Nationwide Series race won by Nelson Piquet Jr., a race that featured its share of rallies, comebacks, contact. Danica Patrick. View at the Brickyard. Join us at the track.
Going to be a big one, that Indy race.
Yes, it is. NASCAR.com/tickets or the phone number, bottom of the screen. Ron Fellows was leading at one point in this race and had a flat tire. He came back to finish third, Vince.
Yeah, Alan, you talk about comebacks and rallies. You had a couple of them today. Ultimately, what kind of day did you have to finish third?
First, Vince, I got to thank the guys from JR Motorsports. Thank AER Manufacturing, Hawk Canadian Tire, and Chevrolet. Not bad, you know, that's decent. I think that was based on what I saw from Piquet Jr. towards the end there, where he didn't have anything for him. I thought maybe we'd get second, and it was really kind of a cat and mouse game with Mike McDowell on, you know, saving tires and trying to keep forward traction. But all in all, you know, this is it's great fun. Love racing at this track, and to be in a car with owned by Dale Jr. and Rick Hendrick, this is still good fun and keeps us young.
And I know it was a family affair for you today too. Your son spotted for you today, oddly enough, in Canadian Corner, which is very fitting for you, Canadian. How's that?
No, it's great. You know, he's an emotional guy, so he's a great cheerleader. And Sam was, as you say, down in the Canada Corner. This is the second or third year he's been doing that. And we had Dan Binks, my crew chief from the Corvette team. He was doing the infield, and Pop's on the pit box. It's great fun. You got to love it.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Ron Fellows, third place today. Jamie?
Well, it's like the round table right here of the young guns. 9th, 10th, and 11th place finishers. Cole Witt, I'm going to start with you. Your first ever road course race in Nationwide. Your first since I don't know how old. How would you sum up your day?
It's definitely exciting, you know, a big learning curve, you know, trying to get more and more comfortable with the racetrack as we go, and, you know, trying to keep up with those road course ringers. Those guys are fast, but, you know, all in all, it was a really solid points day for our team, you know, and it was pretty cool to get the Voodoo Ride Chevy out here and, you know, go out here and have some fun. And, you know, coming from a backup car to be able to rebound like we did was awesome, and you know, really just more or less wanted a good points day, and it worked out. Great day all around for Junior Motorsports and Cole Witt. So, Justin Allgaier, we saw you have a little run-in with the sand. You had to get pulled out, and you still finished top 10. How'd you pull that off?
Well, first of all, I got to say congratulations to my teammate Nelson Piquet on his win. That was really huge, and I have to apologize to Kurt Busch, because part of being in the sand trap was going across his nose. Got down into turn 5 and got on the brakes and locked the left front up, and you know, the unfortunate part was that really I didn't get into the corner as deep as I had been at some points in the race, and it still locked up. So I don't know exactly what it is. I'll have to watch the tape back, so I apologize to Kurt. But the Brent Chevy guys did a great job all day. They made great pit strategy. You know, they did a really, really good job at making the right calls, and unfortunately the kitty litter of it didn't agree with it. So we'll go on to next week, and I feel like our road course program is going pretty good. Obviously, a teammate won the race, so we'll have to keep going, but can't say enough for Brand and Nationwide Insurance and all the people that are involved in this, and the fans for coming out. It was a great turnout here in Road America, and beautiful facility, so just glad we were part of it today. Another good race for Justin Allgaier, brings it home 10th. So Ricky Stenhouse, patiently waiting, brings it home 11th. After you had a run-in with the wall yesterday, went to a backup car. This isn't your style of track. Overall, are you proud of the effort you guys put through today, or are you still kind of bummed that you didn't finish better?
I think we need to go to dirt races instead of these. I think I would fare a lot better, but
you know, talking with Jamie Allison from Ford Racing, I think we're going to do a lot more testing here between now and the next 2 road courses. Ford's done an awesome job at building this team, and Mike Kelly and the guys brought a brand new backup car, so we were good to go when we brought it out of the trailer. The Ford EcoBoost Mustang was kept it on the racetrack all day, and that was the goal. We gained a few points, but just got to thank you know, all the guys working on these cars back at the shop, all the fans for coming out here. They were everywhere today, so it was a lot of fun. Got to thank Nationwide Insurance. Just wish we could get a little better at this. So hopefully by the time we get to Watkins Glen, Montreal, I'll be a little bit better instead of wishing for dirt races.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. maintains 3rd position in the points. Let's go back to Vince.
4th place run for Max Pappas today, and considering you had a pit lane penalty in the earlier stages of the race, had to go to the back, it's a pretty strong run.
Really proud of the effort of the Menard Chevy. We went from 24th to 4th. Can't ask for more. You know, we just wore out all the equipment, and you know, hats off to the winner. And it was just a great show for me. You know, had a lot of fun, you know, battling with Danica. Unfortunately, she got the short end of the stick down in turn 5. But
you had a good view of that. What did you see of that contact?
You know, Jacques came in. She already had a little bit of wheel hop, and Jacques came in really hot. Wheel hopped it all the way. So I say thank you very much. I moved, and he hit her, and that was it. You know, but you know, we were battling really hard, and this was just a race accident. I know people are gonna be on top of Jacques, but. You know, I mean, that was just racing, and if you guys have not done yet, change to Nationwide Insurance is good.
Nice run today.
Thank you.
Max Pappas with his side of what happened, and analysis from
Which
behind
one
the
you
wheel.
want now, McDowell or Fellows?
So it is Nelson Piquet Jr. celebrating a win here at Road America. We will talk with more of the finishers in today's race, including Austin Dillon. Maybe a word with Elliott Sadler, see if we could track him down. And Sam Hornish Jr. to join us as we continue from Wisconsin. The celebration continuing. Both on the pit lane and back in victory lane for Nelson Piquet Jr. and his team after winning today his first NASCAR Nationwide Series win in just his 3rd try. That ever get old, taking the pictures?
No, never. Best part about it.
I'll bet. Well, 50 laps, 200 miles around this challenging 4-mile track. We expected a lot of strategy, a lot of pushing and shoving. Had a couple of interesting people stories to follow. Let's go back and show you how the day unfolded. Some teams had to make rallies.
Yeah, a little hiccup there on the refueling for Sam Hornish.
Well, the 3-car Austin Dillon stalled at getting out of there. They've had a lot of problems today. In first gear, getting out of here, you see Nelson Piquet having the same problem. A real high first gear causing problems leaving.
Another fueling issue for Max Pappas.
Taking that fuel can out of the box is a penalty for removing equipment. Those guys had to go to the back of the line. Ron Fellows was leading this race when he had trouble.
He slowed down. He had a left front flat tire. We didn't know what it was. We thought maybe it's a motor or a transmission. We kept watching. The left front flat.
Justin Allgaier had a drink bottle rattling around under the pedals of his car. Might have caused that off-course slide there in turn 5. They had to chase around under his feet. Finally found it under his seat so he could go back racing. Came back for a nice top 10 finish.
Now, Danica Patrick had a real solid race all day long.
Ran top 5, top 10, even overcooked it a couple times and managed to save it and recover.
Yeah, a couple nice recoveries from a few mistakes. That was the one corner, that turn 5, that gave her the most trouble all day.
Gave everybody the most trouble all day.
Yeah, here's some more in turn 5.
That's Jacques Villeneuve getting turned around. He would not be the only one to find trouble there. There's Elliott Sadler, championship leader starting today.
Tough problem for Elliott. I mean, he just gets taken out there into the wall, messes up the right front corner, the splitter, really alters the handling of his car.
Still came back to finish 15th. Now down to the final laps. The race for 4th place into that same turn 5.
Hey, turn 5 was the story all day long.
Danica made a great pass on Max Pappas to get to the corner. And then Villeneuve overdrove his car into the corner, got to the back of him.
All that going on well behind Nelson Piquet Jr., who led the most laps today, 19 of the 50 circuits, and scored a huge victory for he and the Turner Motorsports team. Big win here at Road America today for PK. Nationwide Series Championship, one of the stories of the day. Sadler came back to finish 15th. Austin Dillon 18th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 11th. You see the points picture as we head on to Kentucky Speedway next Friday night.
And I thought it was going to be a lot worse for Austin Dillon when he lost third gear today, but hey, he kind of held in there.
And a real nice recovery for Elliott Sadler and the Richard Childress team, Mike.
Yeah, it certainly was. And now catching up with the championship leaders, crew chief Luke Lambert. And Luke, let's get right down to the incident involving your driver, Elliott Sadler. What was your interpretation of what happened?
It was kind of hard to tell. You know, it's a really big track, so we didn't really exactly see what happened from the front stretch from where we're at. But, you know, it wasn't really the kind of incident we wanted to get involved in today, but everybody did a good job on the Charter Chevrolet, so we're real proud of the effort we had.
And still you walk away with an 11-point championship lead. How comfortable are you with that right now? It seems to go back and forth from week to week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really exciting points championship we got going on right now. And, you know, we wanted to make some points up today, and we weren't really able to do that because of what happened, but everybody fought really hard. So just real proud of everybody sticking into it.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Let's go to Dave.
Well, Austin Dillon did a lot to get to his first road course here. His mentor finished fourth. Unfortunately, transmission problems put you way down in the field, yet you held second place in the championship. So can you put it all in perspective?
Yeah, it was a fight. I thought we were done. Lap 12, I lost third gear. Just every time I was going to third, it got harder and harder to go there, and finally it kicked out. About broke my wrist when it kicked out. But we were able to run fourth and second the rest of the race and maintain. Actually got in a pretty good battle there at the end with a few of them guys, and just wish we could have gained a few more, but that's all you can ask for. We finished the race, and we'll go to Montreal, and I'll get the shifting figured out or figure out why we lost third.
Austin Dillon just a few points back of the lead still in the championship in the Nationwide Series.
Solid day today for Sam Hornish Jr. bringing it home fifth. You know, they talk about road course ringers. Certainly your name isn't one that's mentioned, but you did a great job all weekend and had a strong finish today.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good day. The Alliance Truck Parts Dodge Challenger was good. We had to play the point strategy. We weren't able to take advantage of some of the things that the other guys were. We had to stay out there a little bit longer and come in a little bit closer to the end, and just didn't really have the opportunity to go for a win like we wanted to. The big thing that we had to do today was make sure that we stayed on the island. We did that, and you know, real thankful to be up here at Road America. This is one of my favorite places to come to, even though I only get to come here about once every 15 years. And hopefully we'll get to come back next year, and to be able to pass Jack on the last lap, that felt pretty good. And just real thankful Nationwide Insurance that allows us to come out here and do this as a sponsor of this series. And Road America just gives us a great, beautiful place to race and a neat track that's unlike anything else that we run on.
You used to come out here as a kid, right?
Yeah, I came up here between here and the Milwaukee Mile. I made it to quite a few races, but we didn't make a family vacation without going to some kind of racetrack along the way. So I've got a lot of memories from different places. Phoenix is one of my favorite places. Michigan, of course, here as well. But just always enjoy coming back up here.
Yeah, well done today.
Thank you.
So after a 6-week break where he missed 5 races for the big wreck at Talladega Superspeedway, Eric McClure is back today. Finished 21st, not without adventures. It's a road course after all. Sum up your day for us.
It was an eventful day. I'm thankful to finish the way we did. Obviously, we would love to have a top 20, but we had a problem with the battery box. We went a lap down, had to overcome that. Ended up passing some guys, having a lot of fun, running some good lap times at the end of the day. Just didn't get what we wanted to as far as a finish. But for me, it's good to come back and finish the race with nothing. Very excited about that. It's a big day for TriStar, for Hefty and Reynolds Wrap. It's pretty exciting and humbling just to be back and be a part of the series. So the only thing that makes it bad is Miranda and the girls aren't here, but we'll see them tomorrow, and then everything will be right again.
Yeah, I'll be glad to see Dad. He did a good job today at Road America.
Eric McClure, 21st and on the lead lap today in his return to the seat in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Well, Nelson Piquet Jr. scoring a huge win for he and his team. That'll be headline 1 for the day. And headline 2 will be the last lap scramble between a couple of pretty big names. Danica Patrick, Max Pappas, and Jacques Villeneuve down in turn 5.
I'll tell you, it was just all crazy getting down to the turn 5. We saw the 22 of Villeneuve get out in the grass. You see Max wheel hopping, Jacques Villeneuve hopping, Danica going out in the grass. You could tell that turn 5 was just going to be a tough turn. Let's take another look at this.
This was a great battle between all 4 of these cars. Sam Hornish had just gotten into this, and it's just a shame to see it end like it did, because Danica had such a great run, solid run all day.
And we saw Tony Eury Jr. a little, just having a conversation with Jacques Villeneuve, we'll call it. Vince caught up with Eury Jr. a little bit ago.
We saw the contact with Jacques and Danica, and then the conversation between you and Jacques. What was the message you were delivering?
I mean, every time he comes over here and races, he pretty much has a car that looks like that. He's got a perfectly good winning car, but he just can't finish it because he's not a good thinker. So I just expressed my displeasure and what happened there, you know, and just told him, you know, if you're going to be a great race car driver, then start driving like one and let's perform like one. Every time he comes here, he's either taking out Max or he's taking out Danica. So it's just a matter of courtesy and respect in the Nationwide Series, and I just kind of let him know.
Danica proved some things today, let a lot of people know with her performance. What was your assessment of it?
Oh, she's done great. I mean, we had that kind of performance at Montreal last year, and the team let her down, and today the team gave her what she needed, and she was running right there in the top 5 all day. Pretty proud of her and Ron, and even Cole done pretty good. He ran top 10 all day, so Junior Motorsports, it was a great day.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, so wrapping up the day at Road America for the NASCAR Nation. Next Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern at Kentucky Motor Speedway. Joey Logano, the only repeat winner there in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. But boy, has he been hot this season.
Oh, he's been red hot. He's going to be hard to beat there. There's a lot of them be gunning for him, though.
Tell you what, this was a beautiful racetrack we raced at here this weekend. Beautiful surroundings. Everybody was kind. And had a pretty clean race in comparison if you look at last year's race. Much better this year, and all the drivers love coming here.
It's always great to see a first-time winner, too. And Nelson Piquet did such a great job. Sat on the pole, won the race. Couldn't ask for more than that.
Absolutely. So on to Kentucky for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Coverage Friday, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. And coming up next, Title IX USA Softball event, Canada versus the USA.
Alan, they tell me that all the traffic problems are fixed in Kentucky.
They'll get a chance to show the world next weekend.
That's right.
Absolutely. So here at Road America, the NASCAR Nationwide Series took on this very difficult and challenging 4-mile course. A driver getting his first ever win came out best, Nelson Piquet Jr. So long from Road America. 50 laps, 43 drivers. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Road America.
This is a place where it's not about points. Here, it's about pride.
I cannot tell you how impressed I am with this 7 car.
She has powered past them.
A place as beautiful as it is treacherous.
Elliott Sadler gets spun.
Caution, caution, caution. He's coming. He's in there.
Nelson Piquet Jr. wins in Wisconsin.
This is the place they call Road America.